Welcome to Destiny Massive Breakdowns, episode 293. I'm Lego Flash.
And I'm Ill Physics, and we're here with another deep dive into Destiny 2.
And it's here, Lightfall. It's here. Strand is in PvP. This is gonna be a real general overview episode. There's just so much to talk about. I know, and there's tons of people still in PvE that hasn't even touched PvP yet, and I can feel it.
That's me. I literally have not touched it. My impressions are from my community. My impressions are from, like, I've mentioned labs before, our branded scrims, the scrims that we do in our Discord quite frequently, and we're trying to figure out how Strand fits into our rule set, and I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in a bit, and so I've been, like, following them, and, like, right before this, I had a stream where I just had, like, a prep stream, and I might just keep doing it. I'm going to do it a little bit better on time so that we're not like, okay, look. I'm always like 100% like anything. So I'm pretty transparent. So Lego's got, like, I think I was telling my dad, I was talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was talking about Lego, who I love. I love this guy. And what was it? I don't know how we got on the topic, you know what I'm saying? Like chat, you know what I'm saying? All you people out there, whatnot. Lego, like, y'all know, he's super nice guy. Like, nobody sees, you know what I'm saying, like, him go beyond what everybody knows of Lego, right? Lego got real with me. I think it was like the second episode. It's like, Tony, look, man, I got a wife. I got a young kid. I got like 5 jobs, dog. I got another podcast. You know what I'm saying? You got to be on time, man. I don't care. You got to be on time, man. I can't do it. And I was telling my dad about it, and he was just laughing. He was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Tony, you need to, come on, bro. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, it was just a funny little story or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know I get a little bit
late sometimes.
I'm a little late, okay. You know what I'm saying? I get carried away. That's what it is, like I did like a prep stream beforehand. I'm gonna probably keep on doing that where I just go over shit and I just bounce ideas for the podcast off of, like, my community, anybody that comes through from the DMB community. Mm-hmm. It went like a half an hour late, then it went like 45 minutes late, and I was still trying to get stuff together. So yeah, I'm trying to be better about my time management for sure.
Y'all should see me and Tony pre-show, though, where we're, like, hyping each other up on certain perks, and we're like, wait, does this stack? Wait, can you do that? And then we're, like, in the Destiny Massive Breakdowns Discord with the science community. Rock DC's over there, like, well, actually, this is how it works. Like, oh, okay.
When does Rock go to sleep? That dude is like a resource 24/7. Like, I feel like you hop into the Destiny science, you know what I'm saying, like, chat in the, in the Destiny Massive Breakdowns Discord. Fantastic Discord, by the way. Plug. Patrons Lounge is always live. And Rock is always just right there with all the information. Like, I'm talking about stacks on stacks of paragraphs, man. That dude is awesome. Along with, all of the folks in the Destiny Science, like, chat, just, like, blessing us with knowledge. So I appreciate it.
Stacks on stacks. We're gonna get into that mod later.
Oh boy.
But, y'all, oh my gosh. So the new mod system, I'm so in it right now. I'm so in it. The mods, the weapons, there's so much to go over, so much to stream. We got Strand now with all these aspects and fragments that we talked about, but now we're experiencing them. We have actual damage numbers for everything. Dude. Oh, I'm so ready. And getting just prepped for this podcast has me so hyped to jump back in and learn even more. Like, there's so much that is uncharted territory. And y'all, I gotta bring this up. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself. I've made it into Court's damage stacking spreadsheet. I have never been a tester. I'm usually a conveyor of information, where I'm like, okay, I'll take information from other people and disseminate it to spread out to others to help people learn. But no, I went in and I tested the numbers myself and got the PvP damage numbers for all the surge mods. And I made it. And making it into the damage stacking spreadsheet by Court is that's Destiny, like, Hall of Fame for me.
Pinnacle. No, that's definitely pinnacle. Like, tops Destiny Massive Breakdowns, like, scientists. Like, you might as well, like, there should be, like, a scientist role. If there's not, like, a scientist role in the Destiny Massive Breakdowns, like, you're well on your way to becoming, like, the professor, a professor in Destiny Massive Breakdown. I mean, you be doing a lot of work with that stuff. That's not stuff that I typically do. I'm the type where I'm just digesting it and retweeting it and just trying to blow it up. So that's very cool.
I appreciate that very part cool too. And I'm pumped to bounce back and forth with you here because I feel like a lot has changed in the Crucible. It feels very different, and of course it's still evolving as it goes because it's tough to play in there with such a low population count. Everybody's playing the story still.
Yep.
But I'm curious how it's been for you. I'll say how it's been for me real quick. Just Crucible, blanket statement. I have jumped in and I played a lot of quick play at first in the beginning, but it was literally so difficult to get a normal game that because of the skill bracket and the tightness of it with the low population like combined that I could not. It was like I couldn't play the game. I literally played a 4v4, one of my games where it never put new people. It was just an 8-player game. The whole entire time we were back at year 1 Destiny 2. I was like, what's going on?
Yo, Lego, when? And everybody, like, when is dynamic skill matchmaking coming?
I want to say...
Do we still not have a time frame for that?
They don't have a date yet, but I know that it's coming, and I can't wait because it's tough at the beginning of a launch.
It can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
So if folks, don't know what I'm talking about, dynamic skill matchmaking, we have skill-based matchmaking, for example, in 6s right now, right? In quick play and control and team quick play is what they call it now, right? And dynamic skill matchmaking basically tunes the brackets, the brackets, the strictness, I guess, of skill-based matchmaking based on population size. So if the population is smaller at any point in time, right, middle of the night, not as many people are on, maybe everybody's playing the story for the last week, everybody's getting ready for the raid, population's smaller, then dynamic skill matchmaking would loosen skill-based matchmaking. We get something like loose skill-based real loose skill-based matchmaking, I'm gonna go to say. And, connections should feel better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it will probably create more of a disparity with regards to team balance, but that's just something that comes like hand in hand whenever you end up loosening or tightening skill-based matchmaking. So, I just, man, if they get that right, I just feel like, because I play in the middle of the night half the time. I'm a vamp. And so I'm playing at some of the lowest population times, and I just want that to feel good for me. Not necessarily me. I ain't about. I could care less about pub time, but I just want connections to be good. I want games to be as sweaty as they want to be. I always feel like I gotta make this preface. Games can be as sweaty as they want to be. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make, the maximum impact my gameplay provides for me. I want my shotgun to work consistently. I just want everything to be consistent so I can just, do what I do. And, if a mistake is going to be made, it's going to be made on my part and not because, connections are poor. So,
I don't want to say it was all connection stuff. It was more so just I didn't have the real experience for me. Like there was some connection stuff for sure, but it wasn't overly overbearing. It was more
You've seen worse.
It was more like I don't want such a small thing that I'm playing with less people, and then on top of that, those less people are still using Teraba and solar healing stuff, and I just the combination of all of that.
Are you saying that you're annoyed by that? Are you annoyed by Teraba and healing?
Listen, you said you were fine. You're not saying you just want to pub stop. I do want some variety. That's all I'm saying. And so it's not that I want to stop. I just want different things. I know. I'm
just messing with you.
And yeah, me too. And so, but okay, let me jump back now. So that was my it was like day 2, day 3 experience, but it hasn't even been a full week yet. I don't expect a ton of people to be in PvP, but I did go and jump into Rumble and jumped into Rift, which is the rotator playlist, which is all connection based.
Okay, I'm not even gonna say that. Listen, I'm not even gonna say that.
I'll do it. I'll jump into Rift if I just want connections and a full team of 6 on each side. I'll do it. And so I jumped in there, and it was so much fun. Rift was fun. Rumble, I literally almost before I came to this podcast, I was testing out stuff, and I swapped on my Exalted Truth hand cannon that feels so spicy, and I almost got a Sum of All Tears right before coming on here. It was the very last thing I did.
Crazy.
I was one of the other guys had 1 kill, and so the total score of the other team was 21, and I had 20. I was like, no, it's
y'all
so
hear?
close.
I'm telling you, y'all hear this right here? Like y'all heard it firsthand. I told you, you know what I'm saying? Like Lego to everybody, you know what I'm saying? He's a nice guy, but I hear him flexing. I feel like he about to I feel like he screenshot it. I feel like he about to say the Guardian's name that he flexed on. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's all about to come out. Like I feel like it's changing. He's looking different.
It was just a good time. Is what I'm trying to say. Like there were people flying around with Strand. It was just all this variety. I wasn't using a fusion rifle. I just started using the hand cannon the whole match because it felt good. Here's what I was doing. They changed Kepri's Sting on Hunter?
I'm going to talk about that, bro.
Okay.
I'm telling you. I'm going to talk. Don't even say it. Don't even say it.
I won't say it.
I'm going to talk about that.
I was testing it out. I'm disappointed, Tony. I hate to say it. I know. We'll have to talk about it, but I'm disappointed. My usual play style with the Hunter Void stuff is so good that it didn't feel like it compensated for it, but I really wanted it to be my thing, so I was hoping. But I want to hear your thoughts on it later, but that's kind of my whole Crucible experience so far, and we'll go from there. I want to hear your thoughts on where Crucible's at right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think a good segue before I get into some other stuff is exactly what you said. Like something has resonated with me that I saw on Twitter. Like ever since I saw it, I guess March 5th is like 2 days ago when True Vanguard said this on Twitter. He was posting about his matches, and he's got I feel like a very balanced view with regards to the Crucible. Definitely, talks about the dubs, of which there are, like some, most definitely, like each season, but has like a really good take on, hey, this is what I am experiencing. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but this is what I, True Vanguard, am experiencing every day, when I end up playing the Crucible. He plays a lot of quick play, y'all should know who True Vanguard is. I shouldn't have to explain this, people, all right? I shouldn't have to explain this. Go follow the man, all right? He's cool. He's good peoples. So something is seriously broken is what he says. Almost every match today has been like this. My teammates' average elo is so dramatically lower than my enemies. Bungie needs to take a hard look under the hood because this is unreal. Our team's average KD, on this next part I'm summarizing, but our team's average KD is 1.44. Almost all of the enemy team is way above that. This is the last that I'll talk about it here on Twitter for a while, so I can focus on the great parts of Lightfall. See, look at that. Balanced. But in all honesty, PvP has been so criminally neglected for far too long, and it's a shame. Get the defibrillator out and warm it up, or it's going to be flatline and fade. So this is definitely some stuff that I've experienced as well, especially when the population is lower. I guess, that I don't need to really say too much more about this. I think that just sums it up.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate, but I'll just reiterate again the fact that I'm really looking forward to dynamic skill matchmaking. I mean, hopefully 1.0, the 1.0 version of it's going to be great. That's ideal, of course, but I'm just looking for progress, like one day at a time. At this point, I mean, PvP mains, like we're just looking for like steps forwards and limited steps back, because we've just had so many, to be honest and blunt about it, we've had so many steps forward and like 2 or 3 steps back. So, I'll leave it at that. Otherwise, let me see how the Crucible feels. So again, I'm not there. I'm, the first couple weeks of a big expansion like this, I'm pretty much in PvE, but of course I've got some notes from my community and things that I've seen around. I would say, and I would agree with this based on my research behind Strand. Strand's not terribly broken outside of like maybe like the shackle grenade and maybe a little bit of suspend in general. Suspend, I guess, is balanced a little bit. Like, I'm not saying it's balanced. I didn't say that, people. But I'm saying that it is more balanced by the fact that it only lasts like 2 seconds, 3 seconds with the thread of continuity, like fragment. But, I was talking a little bit earlier about how my community is trying to incorporate Strand, because we'll never, just not say a whole subclass and even any fragments, I'm saying? Aspects. I want people to be able to use, all the fragments that they can as well, are banned in our scrims or whatnot. But, they were talking about like suspend and the shackle grenade, the shackle grenade, you end up throwing it. It has a decent, like the ease of use is pretty high, I guess I should say. And easy. it ends up suspending targets. So it's based off of suspend. Suspend is really the only thing on Strand, that's like a decent outlier. I'm just not going to say it's huge, because it's just like Strand dropped relatively balanced in comparison to like Stasis, for example. It dropped relatively balanced in PvP. I gotta say, it's doing something different, with regards to like, mobility, but it's doing very similar. But maybe like a new spin on Stasis, very similar things with close quarters and crowd control stuff. But I'm pretty impressed. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with Strand.
I gotta say too, I'm really impressed. I'm having so much fun. Not like, yeah, a lot of it in PvE right now, but also PvP. Like, I don't think I've ever seen so many trick shot clips on Twitter than this week, and it's giving me life. Like, I live for that stuff. Like, yeah, lately for me it's been in damage stacking, but whenever the glaive flying trick was around where you could like glitch the glaive so you flew forward, oh man, I lived for that kind of stuff. And then trying to get a snipe in midair while flying at 100 miles per hour, like that was so much fun. And to see people doing that again, it brings life to the Crucible to have people just fooling around. And I'm seeing people just fooling around again. And that is just, I can't, I'm sad that I haven't really seen it in sixes because I felt like that band was so tight. And let's be real, everyone's playing PvE unless you're going into PvP to test something pretty much right now. And so I get that. I'm really excited to see where it is in 2 weeks. And hopefully with everything that we talk about today, we'll bring a better understanding for y'all as you walk into the Crucible to see how much this stuff that you've been using in PvE translates over and how much damage it's doing in PvP, because we're going to jump into some of that later with Strand and with the mods. But I also want to hear how you're feeling about, the story, the new destination, the new weapons. I want to get into all of it right here, right now, before we jump and do
I'm gonna try to zoom. I'm gonna try to zoom. Because you see, like, we're looking at the same document, people. Our notes for the show, we're looking at the same documents, and he's trying to push me. He's trying to push me because I had so many more notes on how the Crucible feels.
No, you can go back.
Okay.
It includes everything. Yeah. See, this part, y'all, I have no notes. This is my freestyle moment. Like, I love this part where I'm just like, oh yeah, let's just talk Destiny.
Yeah, let's just bounce off. Yeah, 100%. Some other notes like that I was had for the Crucible is, of course, we've seen some of the bugs. That invis bug that's going around with regards to the Crucible. Man, that stuff's gonna get fixed soon. People, like, don't stress it. Don't stress it. Like, again, most of us are playing PvE. Go play some PvE, people. Come on now. Go play some PvE.
It's nice for content creators, but
true.
But I get it.
Of course, but I mean, like, we ain't out here. Like, I'm completely okay with, for the most part, Bungie not servicing. I mean, there's more important shit right now than servicing like content creators.
Yeah, we got a raid coming up.
We do, most definitely. Like, yo, go prep for the raid, people. What y'all doing? So that's interesting. But I got people coming through all the time. Really, like, actually frustrated, like deeply frustrated by that. I'm just like, people, that is such an obvious and big bug. It's gonna get squared away. It's a bug. You know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff happens. It's going to get squared away. It's on the list. Like, let's get through the raid, okay? Let's get through the raid, baby. NVIDIA Reflex, for PC folks, now actually in the menu system, I think it's in the video menu, literally the last option. I'm not going to go through too much of what that is, but I think that's pretty cool. The fact that NVIDIA Reflex is in there. I've been asking folks, like, how that feels, and getting some feedback on how well it works in Destiny 2 on different systems. And, I'm not going to get into it because that goes into a pretty deep rabbit hole, but just know that NVIDIA Reflex option, just on and on plus boost, is now available in the actual, like, video menu at the bottom for folks on PC.
About that.
Nice. It
Nice.
has to deal with, like, latency and reducing latency, but that is literally all I'm going to say because that is a rabbit hole. Let me see, what else do we have here? Yotune. I'm gonna just stop right there.
Oh yeah,
just Yotune. That shit. Okay, I'm sorry. That's my one. That's my run right there. It's disabled again, people. It's disabled, but at least it's not Telesto. It's not. I'm honestly kind of waiting for Telesto to pop up, but it has not as of yet. But it's Yotune. Yotune, the new Telesto.
I will say there's probably some people listening to this show that Jotun is their gun, you know?
Yes.
And so I'm sorry for y'all, but we can live a few days without it. We don't need it destroying everything, setting the world on fire.
With like 10 in the mag, bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I've seen some clips. Like I said, I haven't played, but I've actually seen quite a few clips. Some quick ones. I'm really excited about I'm a big Dawnblade main. When I am on Warlock, I pretty much don't step off of Dawnblade. So really excited to see the Phoenix Dive change. The biggest thing, folks, that you need to know about Phoenix Dive is, really the biggest thing, the neutral game for it changed. It got a reduced cooldown from something like 80 seconds to like 55 seconds. seconds to differentiate it from base cooldown, to differentiate it from, Rift and the cooldown for Rift, and
nice.
like the empowering Rift and healing Rift, I should say. So as someone who has used Phoenix Dive, period, like that's what I use, because it's such a cool movement mechanic and you can chain it with Icarus Dash. That's really cool. I think I suggested at one point in time that it should get, in order to differentiate it, in order to, get more people on board with it, that it should get like restoration ×1. And I was talking about that a lot with, my folks. And it's just like, I agree. It's one or the other. Both of them would really be OP to reduce the cooldown to 55 and you get restoration ×1. Everybody be just healing, just run around healing. That's all it would be. Lego could like, no way. There's no way that Summon Tears is coming at that point. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just rolling my eyes of it because I just don't. Anytime healing's brought up again, I'm like, can we just not?
I feel I feel the same.
But I get it. I do like Phoenix Dive.
Yeah, of course. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is probably the more like balanced change. Just kill the cooldown a little bit to differentiate it from healing and empowering, and don't give restoration ×1. So I was happy to see that, even though I suggested restoration ×1, like this is the better like change in the long run, healthier for the sandbox. So wasn't happy to see that Showdown is like really refreshing, like switch up from survival in comp. And so I wasn't it's not like I'm not gonna say I wasn't happy, because that makes it seem like I'm glad they're making changes, It was more so I would love to see Showdown weighted similar to survival, because the change that they made was that survival gets weighted higher than both Showdown and Rift in comp get weighted lower than survival, and equally, those two. So I would love to see survival have the same weighting as Showdown, and then Rift can be relegated to that, that distant second weighting, whatever it is, because Showdown is really refreshing switch up. And are you laughing because I don't enjoy Rift?
I'm laughing just because of the way Rift is treated nowadays. I really like Rift. I'm like the oddball that I like Rift, but I understand.
It's a stepchild. I'm gonna just say it for me.
I know. But hey, you know what's not is the new map rotation in general.
Yo.
Oh my gosh.
That's a dub. That's a dub. So we celebrate
it's
them.
Huge.
Yes.
Having just more close quartered maps in general more frequently, and maps that we love as a community. Like I feel we joked about it a few episodes ago, like Bungie is listening. No, but for real, like having the community say like these maps are our favorite, and to have those maps upped in the rotation. Yep. Thank you. That is amazing.
Huge. It just goes so far. We said it that time as well. It just goes so far to just replayability of that core playlist. Just having maps we enjoy, you know what I'm saying? And that, I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah. Because I was about to say something about disjunction, and you know what? I've said enough.
Yeah.
But huge dub. I completely agree with that. And I guess the last thing about the Crucible specifically is, man, SMG's going crazy, bro.
Oh,
SMG's going crazy.
Like in the future they will be, or right now you're facing a lot of SMGs?
Oh no, SMGs. Like I said, full disclosure, I haven't gone into the Crucible right now, but I've seen the clips and I've watched quite a few of my friends like streams. I was in Drewsy's stream, yesterday for a little bit, and a couple of other folks, and so SMG's definitely going like crazy, like still, Ikelos still going crazy. Like nothing's. Like you talked about changes. This is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get to just overall impressions of Lightfall. You talked about changes to the Crucible and how it feels now. I think the Crucible actually feels very similar based on what I've seen, and heard. It feels very similar outside of like Strand and some additional mobility and some additional, abilities. It feels very similar to last season, but I feel like the changes are more nuanced,
Really?
And I say that because ability cooldowns got nerfed, right?
Yes,
ability cooldowns got nerfed, right? So even Strand has been pulled back, even off of its honestly like relatively well balanced out the gate. Even that's been pulled back. So I'm seeing more gunplay when I watch like streams, for a while. And the thing that is still the same with regards to gun and weapon balance is SMGs are just going crazy, and they're only gonna go crazier once the Immortal drops, that Trials SMG that we're getting. Oh, man, I'm telling you, Ikelos' I looked this up beforehand. Ikelos' max range with full bore and everything on top, with rangefinder is 23.5 meters before damage drop off. Ikelos is already eating up the Crucible. It already is at least as good as Terrorby. I could make some, arguments to explain that, but it's at least as good as Terrorby.
I'd agree.
The Immortal, bro, max it's going to have 25 meters. That's another meter and a half. Eye-close is already burning through me, man. I'm already hurting. I can't fight back against that thing, especially if that Titan is rocking them PKs, bro. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary. And this is the last question. Sorry, man, so much stuff to go over. Last question, then we keep it moving. Is the Immortal going to be kinetic? Is it energy?
The Immortal is going to be a Strand. So
that's
in the
right.
kinetic
That's
slot.
right. That's right. Kinetic slot.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, I mean, it's gonna interact with some verbs, and we'll go over that later.
But for those who don't know, rangefinder is jacked, and so that is what is pushing this thing over because the zoom is only 14. Which I know can be on the lower side. So a rangefinder is really what makes it go crazy. Yep. And the fact that you can pair rangefinder with target lock is going to be nuts.
Crazy,
what?
man. Yes. And then, like I said, we're going to go over some of these like Strand fragments that apply some synergy, to Strand weapons, just briefly, and you'll see some additional like impact that something like that can make. But going back to your question, and I'll lean back into you. Actually, I'll just toss it back over, and then I can bounce off of you since y'all love that out there. Y'all love that. Y'all love this Tony Lego synergy. Y'all love this. Okay. What were your impressions of Lightfall, and specifically, we've seen some outcry, from the community. We've seen some pretty harsh criticisms of Lightfall as an expansion, as a DLC. Like, where do you fall on that spectrum for Lightfall?
Right.
And then, like, how does that, how does the outcry from the community feel, like in regards to that?
Yeah. So I see two sides here. We've got pretty heavy criticism on the story in particular, and like that's kind of how I felt too after it was over. I never streamed, but I was just kind of like streaming playthrough with some friends just for fun, and at the very end I'm not gonna spoil Final Boss here, I guess, because we're a PvP podcast, but beat the end. And then I was like, that was it, huh? And then the little thing comes up at the end that says Chapter 3, Lightfall. And I was like, it's not over yet. And it was like, it's the end. I was like, there is more. Oh, wait, no, there's not. Be quiet. Dang
man.
it. But no, okay. So here's how I felt, especially watching back some of my playthrough for highlight stuff. I was like, I had a ton of fun with the missions of Lightfall. It was just so well put together to enhance the Strand experience and really get a ton of laugh out of me and my friends as we went through it, discovering the weapons. But I really had a problem with how it forced you to use Strand all the time without giving it to you fully to like build into and learn. So every time that I got it, I was like, yes, let me figure out this build. Let me see what weapons synergize with this. And then they would take it away. And then I would go back to my old build. And so for me, it was frustrating because I wanted to use Strand. And then for other people, the feedback I heard was it was frustrating because they didn't want to use Strand. They wanted to use their build that they prepped to go into Lightfall. So it was like either way, it was a bummer for the campaign. And so I felt that frustration. I felt the frustration of the actual story. I just had no idea what was going on, basically. And so, but rewatching it, I was like, man, I actually did learn Strand pretty well, the way that the maps were laid out as you're walking through the missions. And now that I'm in the in-game has been excellent.
Yes.
At post-campaign, I'm having the most fun doing anything, really, like any activity. And the new strike they introduced, freaking love the new strike.
Yes.
I'm really excited for the raid. I think we can everybody who's played the strike has an idea of what that raid might be like, I think. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. No spoilers.
Yeah. But I'm really enjoying it. And I'm really glad to have had the experience I had with friends playing through it, and now especially, man, I'll tell you what, everything introduced at once, like having the new mod system, new Strand, new fragments. Oh yeah, by the way, we added fragments for Void, for Hunter, not for Void, Solar,
yep.
and Arc as well.
Yep.
Like all this new stuff, and so I'm constantly balancing out the new mod stuff with the new fragments and seeing what all because it all ties together. It's very intentional when you look at what everything does. It's like, oh, you can stack this, oh, you can stack that. And so I'm very deep into that right now, to the point where I don't even know what my next YouTube video like deep dive is going to be about, because there's too much. And I'm like, do I want to do a gigantic deep dive, or do I want to keep it simple? Because a lot of people want to hear about weapons right now, which we will cover on episodes coming up, not this one in depth, but we'll talk about some that we're looking forward to. But man, I'm really having a blast. Oh yeah, and here's a little preview. This is getting way off topic.
It's not just me, chat. It's not just me.
He's
doing it too. I love it. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it.
No, I'm gonna save it. Okay, I'll save it for just a second, because we're gonna talk about weapons. So I'm gonna save it for a second. Tell me what you think about the campaign and the story. Okay.
Man, like, I echo some of your stuff. I should have written down a couple things. Y'all see, this isn't like scripted. You know what I'm saying? We just bounce. I should have wrote down a couple things, but let me see. I'll just try to start with like stream of thought here. The narrative. People. That was probably the biggest criticism or concern that I heard from my folks in the wider community as well. It just wasn't as tight as expectations were high, man. And this is my thing, and my kind of like beef with people who are being like extra critical about the narrative. Sure, it wasn't as tight. Sure, it left us with questions and it was a bit confusing or disjointed. But man, we've gotten some seasonal storylines that have been just bangers. Extra tight.
This season too.
Well written. Oh yeah. The seasonal content is just elevated. And so, yeah, sure, we were maybe like let down with that a little bit. But also, I'll just leave it at that. We were just let down a little bit, but I don't know. It just didn't phase me as much, basically. Like, there's so much more to Lightfall that is not the all-encompassing like thing that defines how satisfied and how like rewarding the Lightfall experience has been. Sure, the campaign is one thing, but you said it, after the campaign, like, Strand is created like a new dimension to everything you do in the game now, and so it's unfortunate that sometimes the campaign felt like a Strand tutorial. People were using like subclasses that they're more familiar with or that they felt were more impactful because we probably didn't even have all the fragments unlocked. And Strand, legitimately, like, something about Strand, which probably is a result of it dropping fairly balanced, I would say, is the fact that the fragments themselves, the suite of fragments, are what make the largest bit of impact when it comes to Strand, and again, how impactful it is in PvE or PvP. So, the fact that we didn't have that full suite through the campaign, I think that's the reason why people were on Well of Radiance or whatever else. So, well, I don't know. There's just go ahead.
I just want to add into that too. I think there's this expectation that was set whenever we were heading into this expansion. A lot of people were, or a lot of the devs, or one of them, there had been one saying that was really elevated, where it was, we don't want what happened to Stasis, both in PvP but also in PvE, happen here, where we kept it. It was so hard to get, and you never got to play the thing that you were really wanting to play. And so I went into this expansion, and many others did, where they were like, I thought I was going to have the option to use Strand throughout this campaign. And it was, so I was disappointed for that reason. I still had fun using it very much. I'm still having fun. I'm still learning the movement tech. I feel like, the mastery level is going to be so high for this, but keep going with your stuff. That's the reason why I feel like it was ultra disappointing for a lot of people when they walked into that campaign.
Understood. Yeah. So, like, concerns aside, I just feel like there's so much more to Lightfall. Like, I don't see why the outcry was so harsh when it was literally, like, we're still inside the first week. recording this right now, we're still literally inside the first week.
That's crazy.
You know, like I'm not gonna. I really want to like yell that into the mic right now, but I'm gonna avoid. We're still inside the first week. Like, give it some time to breathe.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's so much more that they have in store for us. We haven't even hit the raid yet. We're still a week out from the raid, which is a large part of how people end up feeling satisfied with the DLC that they purchase. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just in a wait and see period, and I certainly, for me personally, you know what I'm saying, I'm certainly not going to render you know, a decision with regards to, you know, my purchase to, you know, Lightfall, et cetera, until at least, you know, I get through the raid, and then we see, you know, I get through the rest of the quest. Because, you know, like for narrative, for things that were lacking in the narrative, I've fairly consistently heard that, you know, the machine gun quest, you know, I've heard the exact opposite. People have been saying the narrative, the story, the vibes in the machine gun quest in particular was just chef's kiss. You know, it's answered so many questions from the actual campaign storyline. So cool. I mean, you could. That's part of Lightfall too, right?
Yeah.
Am I mistaken?
Yeah,
that's part of Lightfall too, right?
Just think about Last Wish too. Like that raid literally changed the destination that we went to. Like we could have the same. I'm not saying that I'm calling that happening.
That's why. Honestly, that's why I didn't bring it up, because it was just such a huge deal. The fact that we unlocked the Dreaming City, which completely just elevated Forsaken to like, man, that's got to be like a 9, 10 out of 10 like expansion. You know, it just elevated it like crazy. So I honestly, I didn't want to bring it up because I wouldn't want to bring people's like hopes up, but yeah, you know, I think I personally, and very bluntly, I'll say, you know, I thought it was unfair, both the timing of it, and also just the things that we just haven't experienced yet. I mean, the raid is just so obviously not even here. We're so obviously within a week. And then I'm gonna just say this because y'all know I'm gonna just say what I'm gonna say. You know, the fact that the review bombing is happening on Steam as well.
Oh, that's
because people are upset because of pronouns. You know, like come on, we need to keep it moving, man. We need to keep it moving, man. It's just like, when we talk about pronouns, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna stop. When we talk about pronouns, man, it's just like the people that are making a big deal out of it, the people that are making a big deal out of it. Yeah. You know, it's not the people with the pronouns. Yep. You know? Yeah. So it's just like let's just move on, man. Let's just move on. It's but you know, the last thing that I'll say, the last two things that I had to say about it is I am a little disappointed with the recycled weapon models. You know, I would have liked to have seen some like, you know, like a fresh, for example, like hand cannon weapon model. I don't know how big of a, you know, I don't know, like takeaway that is, like con or whatnot. That's just a personal thing for me, you know. So I'm not really knocking Lightfall for it per se. Thank you for the weapons, Merc. You know, another thing, just a side note, I always want to know what Merc specific, like if he designed a gun, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's anybody else, but I'm just a fan, you know? So it's just like, if he designed a gun, like I want to know exactly what that gun is. And then I want to see him post some clips so we can all feel good about it. Yeah. The last thing I'll say about Lightfall is, you know, the refresh to strikes. I think is just so underrated. You know, if y'all haven't been in strikes, you know, like they feel great with the increased difficulty. The fact that it ends up becoming a path as well for competency in the game for new lights. That's cool. If y'all haven't seen Bungie.net, they just released like the latest document or the latest like comm that they released was specifically to try to guide new lights. That's cool. Through Destiny 2, you know, like, so there is clearly a campaign, you know, resources being contributed. I mean, you can see it in like, you know, the mod system becoming much more accessible and things like that as well. But there's clearly a campaign behind the scenes to make Destiny 2 more accessible to new lights and to bring them into the fold and not have them have to basically latch on to somebody who's like an invested long-term player in order to just, you know, have the gumption to continue to play. So, so that's dope. And I guess somebody mentioned this. It would be cool to see, this is not here, but it would be cool to see like a solo or fill option for Vanguard strikes. Like for example, like you can choose an option when you select Vanguard strikes to either go in solo and not have anybody else in that strike. And therefore, you can get your bounties done much more easily. You know, if you want some increased difficulty, then you can go in with basically there's no stakes for strikes, right? I mean, you know, there's no crazy, you know, like loot or whatnot. You know, it's not like a Nightfall or whatnot. So, but at the very least, you get your bounties done, for example. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. But either way, like strikes being refreshed with that increased difficulty has definitely like breathed some new life into it, because I can't remember the last time that I've gone into strikes and somebody was saying, man, I just want to fly through it. Well, I'm just like, well, why are you flying through it though? You're flying through it for your loot. And I just want, I'm all about the intrinsic stuff. I want to enjoy myself. I like, sure, loot is great. And this is just, again, me, you know, loot is great, but it's just like, I want to enjoy myself getting I want it to be a 2-pronged attack, you know, like I want Bungie to be like hitting the dopamine, like just right on both ends. So, I think that refresh was dope.
That right there is exactly why I'm loving the seasonal content too, because they kept that power level where I'm like feeling good about playing the activity. It's enjoyable, and the destination itself looks incredible. The story's really good.
Yes.
Having Crow do his back and forth with all the different characters is just, and he's finally. This isn't too much of a spoiler because it's a Queen's thing, but like Crow interacting with Mara like on the comms again is wild. Like that, it's crazy. So I've been
I haven't done the seasonal stuff yet, and I know how people feel about Mara. You know, I'm gonna just leave it at that. Yeah. I know how people feel about Mara. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know how people feel about it. You know what I'm saying? So when you say he interacting, this is PG. You know what? Never mind.
Oh man, yeah, it's good stuff though. It's good content. Yeah, that and like just the way it plays and getting to the density like of enemies that you face all the time in it is really good. But there's like boss melting parts too. It's just all around a good activity. Every single person that's played it I've talked to has been like, that's so fun. I love the destination. I love the way it feels. So that's cool. And there's some cool seasonal stuff that I'll be going for, like even over some of the Lightfall stuff even. And then there's a public event and there's like exotic patrols and stuff. Dude, there's so much in PvE right now that's so good.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. Just people, please. People, just get past the campaign. Yo, you don't like it. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? You feel it's lacking or underwhelming. People, just please move past it. When you move past it, I guarantee you, your experience is going to change. You're going to have Strand fully unlocked. You're going to have all your fragments or whatnot. And literally any activity you drop into, could be the Crucible, could be a strike, is going to have an additional dimension based on, at the very least, the increased mobility and the increased just like again, like aerial dimension that you're going to gain via Strand. And then of course we just have like new stuff to play with, like threadlings and that sort of thing. So, you know, but the machine gun quest, everything Lego just said, as far as just very rewarding and fun, legitimately fun content, you know, coming after the campaign, and a very tight narrative coming after the campaign. Like, it's part of Lightfall 2, people. You know what I'm saying? I know people out here. It's part of, Tony, all these things you mentioned, like, it's part of the seasonal content. Okay, well, what about the quality of life changes? Isn't that Lightfall? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whenever people mention, I don't know, like the PvP refresh or whatnot, they always say, hey, it came with Forsaken. Mm-hmm. You know, it's part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop moving the goalposts. You know, and let's just enjoy the game, baby. Let's just enjoy the game. We got new content. And it's great, man, and they work real hard on it. You could tell.
And
so
they worked real hard on Strand. Oh my gosh, dude, tell me how you feel about that, because that's the part that has really sold me on everything and is a part of Lightfall, is Strand. Like, it to me, it's blown me away. What has it been feeling like to you?
Bro, go. I've been telling this people, go watch Drewski, people. Go watch Drewski flex the movement on Hunter. Bro, he's killing it.
That's cool.
It's literally inspiring, man. It's literally inspiring. Y'all know me. I'll say it. I'll say what I feel about it. And it's just like, yes. You know what I'm saying? Again, it provides a new dimension with regards to mobility. It provides a new dimension with regards to aerial combat. But just exercising, you know what I'm saying, different like angles that you know, were previously unavailable and accessible. I keep talking about how the way that Apex does, Apex Legends is what I'm talking about, another like PvP game. It's BR, if folks don't know. But how it does. It's because I listen to all these podcasts, man. You know what I'm saying? And so like, the journalist in me comes out after listening, because they always are just like, what's that acronym? This, that. I just want to make sure folks know. I know y'all know, but I just want to make sure. So anyway, the movement in Apex Legends, some of it isn't necessarily what I would call accessible. Like, you got to really put in time, and in order to then apply it, I mean, you could do it all you want in like, the training area, but in order to apply it, know how to apply it, when to apply it, and like how that's going to impact the flow of your gameplay. It's not the most obvious thing in Apex. Apex is a wonderful game, but it's different in that regard. The beauty of D2, the beauty of Destiny 2 with regards to the movement, even though they balance the accessibility of it, with the, there isn't as much of a movement skill gap in Destiny 2, but the beauty of it is that it's accessible. It's accessible movement. It's movement that where if you look at it, whether it be the description, but definitely if you see it, you automatically register for the most part how to use it, how that would benefit your gameplay, and how to go from there, basically how to actually like play through that gameplay loop. It's wonderful, man. And so even when you end up looking at more like people chaining stuff, for the most part you get it, and for the most part you understand how, if you were able to do the same thing, you could do the same thing. It's just cool.
That's cool.
So that's the first thing I'll say about it. And then I haven't played on Warlock, Strand. I have played on Hunter and Titan through PvE. I will say that the ability synergy on Hunter just seems like chef's kiss. It's so nice, I think it's got to be, I can't say it's the best. I just don't have enough like experience or whatnot. Hunter just felt great chaining abilities in order to make an impact with regards to both, damaging enemies, eliminating enemies, but also just chaining movements just to navigate, the engagement, navigate the map in a very fluid way. It's dope. And like I said, it's accessible. It didn't take me long for it to click to see exactly, what was going to happen when I pressed these two buttons, back to back. Titan also felt fluid in a similar way to Behemoth. I don't know if anybody else feels like that, Behemoth. But it felt fluid in a similar way to Behemoth. The stasis Titan subclass. And I feel like Titan's got a pretty solid skill gap to it. Just like stasis movement has a really high like skill ceiling, I would say. Like, for Destiny, it's got a pretty high skill ceiling. You definitely see some ballers out there with it, like flexing the movement that most other people aren't doing. And I feel like people are going to continue to kind of like tweak the movement tech on Titan. I feel like where Hunter is a little more obvious, even though I do feel like it's got some great movement to it, and chaining of movement, Titan, has a bit more like nuance to it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Titan goats out there end up doing with it, because I think it's pretty cool as well.
That melee,
I'll leave it to you if you mess with Warlock.
Dude, that melee is so good. It's so fast. Like we predicted it was gonna be, but it has gotten me out of so many, not as many PvP situations yet, because obviously we haven't spent that much time in there. But PvE, I've just noticed, like I can see how it's gonna translate. There's this Minotaur coming at me. It's about to pounce through my shield, and I just sideswipe right. Like it's like just having an evade on hand, and you got three of them at any time, so you can use it to get away, or you can even do this. You can sever and then move your movement backwards, then put up your shield, send the suspend forward, run armamentarium with double suspend grenades. Like there's so much there.
There's just so many options. There's so much depth to it, and that's the thing. Like, oh, man, you remember when folks were just like, man, we see what Titan, like Strand looks like on paper before Lightfall dropped, and we're just like, it's underwhelming. It's underwhelming. You know what I'm saying? Titan's gonna be bad. Like, people, we gotta stop reacting, especially before things drop. We got to, please. Y'all are killing me, man. Titan Strand is awesome. And I guess the last insight that I'll provide, folks haven't realized it, is like the things that we love about movement and the things that we've loved about like stasis, for example, shadow dive. Okay, well, we end up getting a shadow dive on Strand. Okay, well, shadow dive, maybe it was a little too strong, or it was tough to balance because it's not actually on any sort of like, ability cooldown. Okay, all right, we're going to put it on ability cooldown to like bring it back, but we're going to allow, some things to feed into it, some extra, maybe like one extra step, two extra step in order for you to get it back, Titan is another good example. Okay, we got what, Shiver Strike? That's the stasis melee that allows you to move in kind of a similar way to the Strand melee, right? So you can use it in a bunch of different ways. You could use it to attack, obviously, and it does a certain amount of damage as a melee. You could use it as a movement, evasion, or something to get into an engagement, or you could use it to chain with Titan Skating, right? But my point is, okay, all right, well, if we took it off of a cooldown for Strand and, gave the melee, maybe that wouldn't be the most balanced, because it would be like, you get that, it'd be like a shoulder charge, for example. It didn't consume the charge unless you hit something. And you could just keep on like Strand and melee and through, just keep on chaining it and moving across the map. And maybe that wouldn't be the healthiest in the long run. Maybe some keyboard and mouse like warrior or whatnot would figure out how to like scroll wheel, like chain it. I don't know, man. It gets crazy on keyboard and mouse. But okay, all right. Well, you know what? What we're going to do is, everybody really loves this Sugar Strike. We're not going to, do what I just said and take it off of the actual melee. We're just going to give them 3.
Yeah.
We're just going to give them 3. And so, maybe you can't like chain it forever, without actually doing something with it. But you still get more of what you love on stasis. So I just feel like they doubled down on the elements of movement that they could, and also had just the intention to think ahead to say, okay, well, if we, for example, don't tie it to an actual ability, that may end up becoming like an issue later, for example. So I don't know. I just see a lot of intention with so much stuff that's come out. For the Crucible in particular, but just in general. Yeah. Because when Stasis came out, it was so crazy with crowd control that even it even trivialized some parts of PvE. Right? It even trivialized some parts of PvE, and we already know how it trivialized many parts of PvP, skill gap or otherwise. So yeah, that's kind of like my overall thoughts on Strand and PvP. On those two, I just don't have any experience on Warlock.
I'm in the same boat. I haven't played much Warlock. I did a lot of research and looked at a lot of clips for Warlock, and I'm excited about some of the things it can do. Looks pretty crazy. But also some of the abilities don't appeal to me as much. Like half of it does, half of it doesn't. Titan, I've learned, like I ran that through the story first, and so I got really familiar with it. But now that I've started to use Hunter more, I'm like, oh, I think this is probably where I'm gonna land still again. Yeah. But I do like how the Hunter feels like that high actions per minute that they describe. Titan has that, but it's like in bursts. It's like defensively and then high actions per minute for a few seconds, and then defensively and then high action per minute. Like there's this flow to it that I feel like it can have between its ability to melee and then make the ball to throw it, to grapple onto, and then you still can do it all over again at the next spot. So I can see how it's got each one of them might end up having a different flow than the other, whereas Warlock feels a little more passive with its threadlings and like preparing yourself. Like Titan, you just go in and then you slow down and then go in and slow down, and Warlock's a little more thought out, which is kind of perfect for a Warlock subclass that really goes into their themes. So I'm excited to get into what all this does in the Crucible. All that said, is there anything else that you want to cover for just where we're at right now? Lightfall coming in hot.
Man, I'm literally just gonna continue to double down like on what you said. Like something that maybe some folks don't realize is Titan is actually kind of like a big brain like they have like a big brain like class, like Titan has always been like, sure, you can go in just punching and it's really good at that, but exactly what you said, you have choices. You have choices to how you want to fly on Titan. You could W key, and the kit's there. Yeah. The kit's there, people, for W key. Whether you're on Arc Titan or not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could do it on Stasis, you could do it. Like, it's there. But you have choices, and especially because of that barricade, you have the option to slow gameplay, to slow engagements, to stall engagements if need be. Not forever. That wouldn't be balanced. We've already seen that. But you can start, you can stop. So basically, you end up getting a pick and then you just fly in. Titan can do it all. So you can be thinking about, like engagements, but you also have the key to just go and W key if you need to.
Oh, man.
You the kit. I'm sorry. You do also have the kit to do that. And so that's why, like in tourneys, you just never saw a lot of Titans I haven't been watching any like recently. Obviously, Arc Titan is just so strong. I would imagine that there's always going to be one in eternity. But back when, you know what I'm saying, like before Arc 3.0, you just saw so few Titans in like tourneys because it's actually like a challenge to pull off. But the people who were specialists in it, you know what I'm saying, like they put in work. And so it's nice to see the nuance behind Titan Strand in PvP. And that's why, whether it be the movement or whether it be just how you synergize the tech to play in what can be a very competitive way.
And it also is pretty good at stopping stalemates that have happened recently. Like Titans have become popular recently in trials. You got Capture Zone, all that stuff. And we talked about TV earlier, but he put out a clip of using the suspend grenade to throw out somebody behind a barricade and lift them up and headshot them over the barricade. I was like, that is, that makes me love Strand so much.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
I love that
there's there are options now, there's options. So maybe whereas, some of my requests with regards to maybe barricades taking some additional damage or something like that. Okay, well now Strand, is easing some of that. And all it really takes is there to be counters, accessible counters for just usage rate to drop with some of this stuff. And then it just becomes like much less annoying because you just don't, you're not fatigued by, you don't see it like 24/7 where folks are able to actually, because it incentivizes that type of gameplay, that play style, right? If people want to play passive and there's not many counters to actually bring them out of that, then you're just going to see it continue to ripple through the Crucible and the people that you play from, all the way from the top of the skill spectrum all the way down to the bottom. But if there are countermeasures, and people know there are countermeasures, then they're just more incentivized to actually make a play instead of just sit there, and that sort of thing. So I agree. And it's like I said, it's crazy how Strand drops. I'm impressed because there just seems to be a lot of intention, and it started with the weapons team, in my opinion. And now it's kind of flowing into abilities and armor. So somebody's doing a good job. Somebody's doing a good job back there.
Yeah, I like the flow of Strand a lot. The last thing I'll say is I just love it. I feel like it really has been game changing to have Strand. It feels different in a way that no other new element has. So I'm pumped to master it. It has this mastery too, like you said, accessibility. It's easy to get into, but there's this ceiling where the best of the best are going to have this movement that's going to be like for trick shots or just for getting. I can't wait to see the trials plays, man. I can't wait to see the 1v3s where somebody swings around and the other person just doesn't have the skill to get this guy who's spinning around them in the air and come to. I had a moment where I realized that this was going to be the case. Playing on console, everybody's not looking up quite as fast as they are on PC. And I think I grabbed not the threadling, but the ball, that you can throw and grapple onto.
You're talking about the grapple thread, the grapple tangle.
Tangle, thank you.
I believe. I literally looked that up.
Still, the words are getting to me, mainly because threadling. I never say that because it's a warlock thing for the most part, but tangle is what I was looking for there. So tangle, I was playing with my Titan in the Crucible. I must have meleeed somebody or something to make the tangle, and I was just like, I'm just gonna throw. I'm playing freaking the everybody's favorite map that has the center circle with javelin. Yeah, I'm just playing javelin. Okay. Everyone's favorite javelin. Okay, and so
yep.
I threw the tangle up like vertically, like in the center of the room where the entire team was at B. There were at least 4 enemies there, and grappled to it, went straight up, and I was able to stay there for a while, like using my melee and because that was my free grapple, and then I could grapple again even as a Titan. And I was just up there, and I could see them seeing me on radar, looking around, running around like ants down there trying, where is this guy? I can't find it. Because if you grapple right, you can keep the momentum and just stay up there. I was like, I'm just gonna stay here. I just stayed up there swinging around, watching them run around. And it wasn't until I came down that somebody took a shot at me. No one shot at me the whole time. They just had no idea where I was. I was like, dude, this is something else.
It's something. But like I said, and you said it as well, it just adds an extra dimension. And some of that is nuanced. And I just feel like this subclass has such a high ceiling, whether it be for skill or whether it be for just discovery. Now, something that I'll mention. See, people, we haven't even moved on to just like,
I know,
because I'm telling you, we're just so excited. We had so much to talk about. So what was I going to say? Crap. See, I just missed it.
We're just too pumped.
We're just too pumped, man. But either way, yeah, just like so many different dimensions. That's what I was gonna say. So even if the movement tech, doesn't end up piquing whether your interest or you're just not able to grapple the movement tech.
There's no way that was too fun. Right? You got to be interested.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I know. I will say that some of it is just recognizing the synergy in it as well. Yeah. One thing that I requested, and we're gonna after the small part that. A later section, basically, we're going to talk about like a few weapons that we're just interested in, just in general, like to just toss around. And so to bounce off of like what you said, and then we'll move on here, is that even if, you don't have either the interest and I don't know why you wouldn't have the interest basically, or you can't grapple necessarily. You can't grapple onto the movement. That's not something that you're able to really reckon with basically and incorporate in your playstyle, then there's just so much to discover. You can continue to explore and discover the subclass and
the fragments.
Create a skill gap through the fragments and their synergy between abilities or guns, because there's a decent amount in there that you can just there's just still so much to discover, and particularly with regards to guns. I know we're about to go over like a couple.
Let's do it. Yeah,
let's do it. Let's bounce right into it. So I'll go ahead and start. You go ahead and follow up. And so the two that I wanted to discuss, and we're not going to go like deep into this, people. It's
just
like
a wish list.
It's like a wish list. It's like this is what immediately piqued my interest when I saw Lightfall drop. Patch notes or otherwise. And for me, it's going to be, come on, people, you know me. It's going to be a hand cannon. It's probably going to be a shotgun. And it is. It's a hand cannon and it's a shotgun. So one is a shotgun you wouldn't even think, actually. So we lost quick charge, and we'll talk about that later. We got a section on mods just in general. We lost quick charge as a passive plus 25 handling to the stat, right? On shotguns in particular, but also on fusions, sidearms, and
SMGs,
SMGs. We don't care about SMGs, bro. I don't care about SMGs. But either way, we lost it on shotguns, and it's hugely impactful on shotguns, especially since we have very limited handling boosters now after we lost quick charge, right? So I was thinking, and I was talking to Lego. I was literally in Lego's DMs. You know what I'm saying? This man is busy, people. He ain't got time for me. You know what I'm saying? But I saw, after I asked the question, I saw the little icon in Discord pop up for the phone. I was like, I got him. I piqued his interest, man. He gonna respond to me, man. I swear to God, he probably taking care of the kid right now, man. I can't believe he got time for me. And also hit up Kid as well, but Kid got way more stuff. Anyway. Mindbender's Ambition. So I've got a role. I'm always worried about handling whenever we take a hit to handling. I've got a role that I used to use that's quick draw and pulse monitor. And then I remembered, because y'all are goats and, I'm here with the Destiny Massive breakdowns. Y'all inform me. And so I'm just a little more educated on this stuff now. I'm just like, oh, okay, scalars stack or multiplicative?
Yeah.
Multiplicative?
Mm-hmm. Most of the time, scalars are multiplicative, yeah.
Got you. So pulse monitor, when you're at or below 110 hit points, you end up getting 50 handling. You end up getting a 0.95 times ready stow duration multiplier, which you said, Lego, I'm always trying to make sure I say it correctly, is basically like a 5% boost to ready stow duration multiplier, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, got you. And it also refills your magazine from reserves as well. It works while stowed. They ended up reworking this perk a little while back, buffing it, and it's actually kind of chef's kiss now. I feel like it could be tweaked just a little bit more, but for the most part, it's pretty cool. But it works while stowed. Quick draw, of course, upon readying, grants 100 ready stow handling and another 0.95x ready animation duration multiplier for 1 second or until ADS. They stack multiplicatively. So I'm just like, okay, I need to mess around with this. So basically, I remembered that role in my vault. I'm a shotgun guy, and I'm always trying to get more handling. We lost quick charge, and I'm just like, you know what? I wonder if, I haven't used this. I'd have to definitely build more of a play style around defensive shotgunning. I mean, I already am pretty much like a defensive shotgunner, but you want pulse monitor to proc, right? So I'm getting into an engagement with my hand cannon primarily, and it might make me a little more defensive, but I'm telling you, if it feels good, then I'm just pretty much going to shotgun defensively almost exclusively now, because if that whip out speed is nice like that, man, Man, I'm surprising somebody.
Tony,
I'm surprising somebody.
I'm so mad at you right now because you had me on the hook.
Why?
You like reeled it in, and I was like, oh, because here's the deal, y'all. So many weapons have gotten updated perk pulls for this season, and I haven't looked at what Tony wrote down. And so he's talking about all these perks. I was like, wait, you can get this stuff on Mindbenders now? Did they update? And I was like, I was ready to grind. I was sitting here, and everybody listening, if you're in that boat with me,
people.
Tony fooled us, man. And then you're like, in my vault. No.
Yeah, what? my bad. Yo, it was hella selfish. It was hella selfish. That's what I got in the vault. Y'all can't get that. My bad.
That's a good idea though for people to look out for those perks. The whole time I was on the hook, man. I was like, oh, here we go. And I even saw the updated icon for Mindbender's Ambition in D2 Gunsmith and Light.gg, and I was like, oh, here we go. I click on it, I was like, there's no quick draw on this. There's no quick draw.
Oh, my bad. Is Pulse Monitor even on the new version?
No, I don't even think Pulse Monitor's on here. No, it's got threat detector.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Look out for it, people. But look out for it. But I'm just saying, if you see me in the Crucible, look out for me too.
Yeah. I am.
But
I am. I'm gonna watch out.
Yeah, I hope it does something. Like it could go either way. I don't know. Exactly what it's gonna end up looking like. But like I said, I will. Become primarily if it swaps out and it's consistent and. Because I've got full choke, small bore, and rifled on it. I wouldn't use rifled at this point. And I've got a range masterwork, and I've got accurized.
Yeah.
So it's a god roll in that sense. I don't know if we really call him Pulse Monitor a god roll, but nonetheless, you get
Nowadays
it.
We might.
That it should be consistent. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then round robin.
Yeah,
and
I want to talk about
we'll
that
get to
too.
Lego after that.
Yeah.
Round robin, right? Like, I'm not going to go through all the perks and stuff like that. I'm literally just going to mention the fact that it gets that hatchling perk. Right? And I didn't write it down. I think we wrote it down in a later section. But basically, whenever you get a precision final blow, there's a chance for it to spawn a threadling, correct?
Yeah. Does it have to be a precision blow too? I think it does. I think you're right. I'm going to double check that real quick while you keep talking about it.
Okay,
but yeah.
Yep. Sounds good to me. So, yeah, it just seems like that has, as a hand cannon main, as I keep telling people, I feel like 120s. By the way, it's a 120 Strand hand cannon, right? And it's craftable, people. It's craftable, so you can get enhanced perks with it as well. A lot of my friends have either gotten it because they got no life, bro. Y'all got no life. Y'all need to touch some grass. But you know what? I don't either. So a lot of my friends already have it or they're farming it, and we're all kind of like excited about it. But, I keep on telling people like 120s are slept on. They definitely are, like, in most skill brackets, are like the best. The only time you want like a 140 where it's better than a 120 in this meta, in my opinion, is when you're going against like a push team, like a really skilled like push team.
Right.
That's when the rate of fire, the RPM might actually like, hold you back. If they're using SMGs or just a team of 140s, they're going to roll up on you within 140 range, and you're not going to be able to just, tap them out with a 120 basically as quickly as they tap you out, because they're going to hit their shots. But other than that, 120s, I think, are the best subfamily of hand cannon, like right now, in competitive play. So anyway, my point is it's a 120 Strand hand cannon, but it just seems like it has like so much synergy with the fragments. In order to, me, I like chromatic fire. And why I make that example is I love exotics, perks, fragments, whatever else that enhance my primary gunplay in particular, just make it more impactful, because primaries need a little something, to it sometimes. Specials are always just that one hit kill, It's crazy. It's crazy. So Thread of Rebirth, fragment for Strand weapon final blows have a chance to create a threadling. It definitely stacks. Now, I don't know whether it is the chance that stacks, and so you just have an increased chance, if you get a final blow with the hand cannon that has hatchling, and then you also get a chance from the Thread of Rebirth. I don't know if the chances just stack and you get one threadling more frequently, or it's like separate. I imagine it's the first.
Yeah.
And when I say separate, I'm thinking like two threadlings, but
I would think it would be two. And also I can confirm that the Guardians count as 67% towards the 100% counter that you need to proc a threadling. So basically 2 kills will get you that threadling, like, guaranteed.
So this is like Firewalker on Path of Burning Steps.
Yes, except it's guaranteed. That's the thing about Firewalker. You never know what you're going to get. Oh man.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. So yeah, Thread of Rebirth, that synergy right there. Then Thread of Evolution. Again, we're talking about strand fragments. Threadlings travel farther and deal additional damage. So Threadlings right now in the Crucible, 41 damage. An additional, Lego told me 10% damage whenever you have, by Threadlings, whenever you have Thread of Evolution. So you get 45 damage up from 41, in addition to the fact that the Threadlings like travel faster. So not only do you have an increased chance of getting that Threadling from Thread of Rebirth, but when you do finally get it, then the Threadlings are enhanced themselves. It's like enhanced Threadling. That's what you can think of. It does more damage, travels farther, right? Higher impact potentially. Also, just a side note, it gives you plus 10 intellect. Thread of Isolation, landing rapid precision hits, emits a severing burst from the target. So you should just be trying to go for precision with the hand cannon. That's what I'm thinking. You know, I might be able to proc Thread of Isolation at the same time. You know, Thread of, and emit some severing bursts from the person that I'm, you know, shooting or eliminating, right? Then Thread of Propagation is powered melee final blows grant your strand weapons unraveling rounds. You know, powered melee final blows. The one that I'm thinking of and that we were discussing pre-show is the Warlock melee, because the Warlock melee has on Strand has the potential to one shot. Has the potential to one shot, basically. You know, the damage from the actual melee itself, and then the damage from the. Do you have to have the aspect?
Yeah, so you have to have... Well, that's right. The thing is you have the aspect automatically because there's only 2. And this aspect, it has to be out of your grapple melee, but it lets you spawn Threadlings whenever you come out of that grapple melee. And then if you have the... You don't even need the extra damage, I think. You can just use the normal Threadlings, and it will... The Threadlings come out, and they'll apply on top of the normal melee damage and one shot. It's just the Threadlings have to hit them, and Threadlings seem pretty weak in the Crucible. Like, you can easily just spray them and they go away. So it's gonna, you know, all of this is gonna depend. And that, I was gonna play devil's advocate with you a little bit on round robin, because Hatchling is in the same slot as so many other things like opening shot, kill clip, golden tricorn, personal favorite, and Harmony, also a 2-tap machine if you set it up right. So, and element, there's so much in this column. Oh my gosh, it's so hard.
I'm gonna drop it to you then. Tell me what we were talking about with regards to golden tricorn, and I'll just segue with you.
Okay, so a few things here. Like, golden tricorn on its own is not going to 2-tap someone. Like, it's 15% extra damage, and so you could stack that on Harmony, of course, and that's like easy, like 2 taps on anything. But later on, I'm going to get into the details of this later on, but there is a new mod, which is basically, you can think of it like Font of Might. It is the equivalent version of that in this new Armored Charge mod system that we have. But I did a bunch of testing on it, like I was saying earlier, and you can max it out at 5.5% extra damage in the Crucible, and it stacks on everything. And that's the part that changes... Y'all, it changes everything, because nothing has ever been able to stack on Radiant, or, you know, if you had high energy fire and you had like an orb, you know, in the previous system, you couldn't stack that on Radiant. You couldn't stack that on a well. They would just...
Do you think it's intended?
I do, because it's such a small amount, and it's not situational if you know how to set it up, but and we'll go over how to in a little bit, but it is minimal to the point where, more than anything, it changes your like resilience levels in which you can do things. And in this case, it changes, it takes it to a 2-tap at 6 resil or under. So up to 6 resil, you could 2-tap using Golden Tricorn just times 1 that lasts for 7 seconds if you have an armor charge. So... Pretty cool situation there. And then on top of that, I was going over with Tony, there's a really cool thing with these new weapons, and we'll get into it probably next week, I'm imagining, is when we're going to cover the Lightfall weapons, or 2 weeks from now. But if you get Golden Tricorn times 2 procced, you're running Strand, so you can't stack that much else. But if you have a buddy who's running a well, or a Well of Radiance, or I think Bubble's going to work better, probably.
Who's trying to be my buddy?
But yeah, run Bubble, you stack that 25% on top of 50% from Golden Tricorn, on top of 5.5, and you don't even actually need the 5.5% from the new buff. You just use the bubble plus golden tricorn times 2, and then here's the secret, because that is going to 2-tap alone with just that if you got that going. But what you want to do is all the new Lightfall weapons have this new origin trait called nanotech tracer rockets, where if you land multiple hits, these 2 rockets come out. It's very similar to the exotic from last season, the auto rifle Quicksilver Storm.
Quicksilver?
Yeah.
Quicksilver
so
Storm.
If you've played with that, you have an idea for what this is like. It's very similar. 2 rockets come out. They do around 15 damage each. I'm going to have to, dive into numbers and see what the origin trait, if they come out any different on these ones. But I know it's at least 15, and I know that the damage will stack on top of your other buffs. So take that same buff and apply it to that 15 damage. You end up doing close to 30. It's like 28 damage, I think, if you're just doing well or just doing bubble and golden tricorn times 2. And so here's the layout: is you got those 2 buffs going, you 2-tap someone, and you rapidly shoot a second target and get those tracer rockets to come out. You're doing 150 damage on a headshot, and then the tracer rockets, if they both hit, will do close to 60 damage.
Clip.
More than 50.
I want this clip.
A one-shot hand cannon shot. I think it's possible, y'all. I'm theory crafting here, but I'm pretty sure the one-shot hand cannon exists.
This is the holy grail of hand cannons right here. Yeah,
I'm ready.
Y'all should have just seen him. He's like, man, that was a sweat right there.
We can do it. I want to.
Man, I think we can.
I think we can do it, Tony. Me and you, we're gonna go. Me and Tony gonna get into quick play. We're gonna stack it up.
I'm into it.
I should probably let you do it. I should probably be the bubble. you be the.
I honestly think it'd be more fun if you did it and I was the bubble, because I'm just gonna be your hype man. I'm just gonna be a hype man the whole time,
dude. We'll see.
That sounds awesome. Oh, the question I had for you, and the comment that I'll make as well, is keep in mind that Weapons of Light last like 15 seconds, right? So there's a lot of forgiveness with that.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And Lego had mentioned in the pre-show, just remember the fact that you can be mobile with it versus Well of Radiance. So it's just kind of like superior in this type of like context. But then the question that I had for you is 7 seconds. This is craftable. 7 seconds non-craftable. What does golden tricorn increase in time frame for enhanced?
Golden tricorn. Now you got me questioning. I've made a whole video of this. I should know. It's like a 25 minute long
that's
video.
Why I was just exactly. I was just like,
yes.
He's got to know.
Damage
off the top.
buff is increased to 8 seconds on the craftable.
Okay.
So yes, 8 seconds. If you just used Radiant alone with golden tricorn, that's 8 seconds of a two tap. Just off the bat, just off a kill. You don't have to reload or anything, which kill clip now, could do something really similar, but it's not immediate, low handling hand cannon. How's everything going to fare out for you? You just got to think about all this. So yeah, pretty interesting hand cannon. I'm really interested in getting it. I'm a big fan of Harmony on this hand cannon as well. So you have to stack that with something like Radiant as well, unless you use the mod stuff we're going to talk about in a second. So I'm really excited to jump into the mods. If you can't tell, it's like I'm about it.
Yeah, no, me too, because again, I haven't seen the video, but I know how crazy it is just based off of the fact that I retweeted it, and it wasn't because of me, but I'm just saying I retweeted it, and so then I go back to it a couple of days later, and I'm just like, what is going on? This video must be popping, because there's like 1,200, 1,300 people that like this right here. Like, Lego gets a lot on his posts, but clearly that was like an impactful one. So I'm really excited to hear, how you're stepping through the mod process, because we got an expert right here, ladies and gentlemen. We got an expert. All right. So what other weapons are you excited about besides like round robin?
Well, obviously everybody knows me. I'm excited about both fusion rifles. Already did a video on one.
No, I didn't realize you were a fusion guy.
Okay, dude. Okay, so I know that there's a lot of Zealots Reward fans out here. I think iterative loop could be a better Zealots potentially. I say potentially because there's a possible role where you can max out your stability to 100 and have under pressure and have some range still too. So it's not going to outrange any of the higher classes out there. Rapids aren't great right now, but it's the same class as Zealots. And so I think if Zealots Lover is out there, you might be able to craft something really interesting here.
Yeah. And so for folks that don't realize, the iterative loop is the new stasis like fusion rifle rapid fire frame.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, is it arc? Okay, thank you.
But
I didn't know.
it doesn't feel great at base, but it does come with Volt Shot. So if you're a PvE person out there, best Volt Shot available outside of the Two-Tailed Fox Catalyst. So watch out. And then Royal Executioner, the seasonal one, comes with Offhand Strike and Killing Wind together. But I've had some friends in my Discord who've used it who say they don't really care for it. So all that to say, I'm excited to get my hands on it.
And try it out.
Yeah. And then I want to talk about something here, but it's not even close to out yet, kind of. I saved my Iron Banner engrams, and thank you Fallout Plays for reminding me that
that's crazy,
I
man.
could turn those
that's
in.
Cheating. Nah, that's cheating. That's cheating. It's straight up cheating. That's contraband. That's contraband.
This, Fallout put up a picture of the new SMG, Hero's Burden. It comes with the new perk Destabilizing Rounds, which only 4 weapons have in the whole game right now. It might be 5, but maybe that one's not included on the list, but 4 or 5 weapons in the game right now. And there's a new glaive that has it, and that's the main perk everybody's going to know it from. And Destabilizing Rounds, what it does is when you shoot and eliminate a target without your falcons or anything, you just shoot, kill a target, and it will create an explosion like Firefly, but instead it's volatile and makes all enemies around them volatile. So it's like the reverse of having volatile rounds. Volatile rounds will shoot and explode a target, but it just does damage to the people around it. This destabilizing rounds will blow up the target and make everything around it volatile. So no matter what weapon you use, inverse, they explode.
Okay.
And get this, so very few weapons. It rolls on the new Hero's Burden SMG, and I got it. I cannot believe, because Fallout put a video of it or a picture of it up, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get it.
That's the end of the podcast. That's the end of the podcast.
I'm just gonna try.
And I got it. That's crazy.
I need to show you I've been saving the clip because it's just using it for 5 seconds in PvE. You're like, holy crap, this thing is
that sounds
so
incredible.
Good. So there's that.
Yeah.
Y'all are gonna want it. And then also Wise and Rebuke is coming back, and I think it might become S tier. Offhand Strike and Successful Warm-Up.
What do you have it? Because I know you just put out the video for rating all the fusion rifles currently in the game before Lightfall dropped. What did you have Wise and Rebuke as? Like what tier?
It was an A tier, and it was like, maybe 2. It was like maybe 3 or 4 down there, like number 9 out of all of them or something like that. I think it might move up to like top 5 potentially. And here's why.
Wow.
So you have backup plan on a high impact fusion. So you know how good that can feel. Yep. Imagine doing that, and then your second shot, you could hit somebody at 30 meters from the hip.
Nah, I guess I'm a fusion main now.
Yeah, I know, right? So we can already do this with Glacio. Same thing, Offhand Strike, you got it there. But Glacio does not have backup plan. This has both in different columns, so you can have both together. And then on top of that, if you don't like backup plan and you just like the high impact, you can go Offhand Strike and Successful Warm-Up, which means you can shoot even faster than backup plan, but with more damage and hit them from like 30 meters. It's going to be insane. So,
before I met you, I never got excited about. I was like, fusions. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. This dude got me using a fusion. Me.
Oh man.
And I'm just always enthralled whenever I'm listening to you talk about these fusions. I think it's because, and I'm sure, we share that, maybe about the hand cannon shotgun stuff. It's just a passion that comes through with it. And I'm just and how much you love fusion rifles. That's yours. Man, you got me excited, man. You got me excited. Because I'm going to say it again.
Excited too, Tony, but then you said it was in your vault and now I can't get it.
I'm telling you, I really didn't intend for it. But now, I feel kind of evil about it.
That's your thing.
That's true. That's true. That's my thing. If it works, we'll see.
Oh, dude, I'm not gonna. I have some other stuff written down, but honestly, I'm gonna save it because we're gonna talk about all the weapons as we go. Those are the main things that have me hyped, dude. I'm so hyped for the Iron Banner stuff. But let's go ahead.
I'm hyped for that too.
Yeah. Before we dive into, we were gonna talk about the mods and we're gonna talk about the numbers behind Woven Mail, Sever, Suspend, Unraveling Rounds. We're gonna talk about all of it, but first, before we deep dive everything, we want to thank some new Guardians for their generous support. We got Arlen, Sprucey11. Thank you, Sprucey. Sprucey's in my comments all the time. Thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
And then Bistro Neil and Alaska Fett. Thank y'all so much for your pledge and keeping the lights on this podcast. You make it happen. And we also want to say special thanks to our ongoing sponsor Guardians who give on a massive level every month. We've got Binary Wolf, Black Hammer Tech, Bryce Aroni, ASCII and Monk, Deacon, Moonlight, Shazzle, This Moment, and Zen SoCal. Oh, thank y'all.
And if you'd like to support the show, please visit DestinyMassiveBreakdowns.com and click on the link to Patreon. You'll get access to a members-only channel in the Discord, which is always popping, like always. Like it's like no matter what time of the day, I could wake up at 4 a.m. East Coast time, just drop in there, and it's just like, it's like 50 new comments in there, man. Y'all keep it live in there. So behind the scenes info and input on the future of the show, plus access to our legendary annual merch drop. As a reminder, you can also earn a shout out on the show by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. The ratings are great, but the reviews really help us to spread the word and get more ears tuned in every week. So we appreciate you folks. And we actually do have one new 5-star rating. It is from WJKVT. And if there's some way to actually say that, I apologize. I apologize. I'm just looking at it. But thank you so much, WJKVT, for the 5-star review, saying great show. 2 really likable and entertaining hosts. Look forward to this every week since Tony and Lego, it's actually Lego and Tony, people. Follow Lego LaFlash.
Oh my gosh.
Subscribe on YouTube. Took over. Lego is a true gem of the Destiny community. No one is making better content right now. Big. I didn't even read that. Bro, I completely agree. Y'all need to subscribe. YouTube, Lego LaFlash. Seriously, this dude need like 500 subs because the content is just crazy. Yo, I'm gonna just say this too. I'm gonna say this too because we were talking about this before. I was telling Lego, I'm just like, man, I know it's probably never gonna happen, but I call dibs, people. All right, if Lego ever go independent and is actually, instead of making his own stuff, is like the video editor, I call dibs. Ain't nobody getting him before me, all right? So just an FYI. I don't think it's going to happen, you know what I'm saying? He got aspirations, but
oh man,
just the content, man. We love it. We love it. So appreciate you, brother.
Both of y'all appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know what to say.
Oh, you know what? I got that final part. We got another blurb. Hold on, let me finish that. So finally, thanks to the Destiny Massive Breakdowns editors, of course, Nettie, for putting up with my mess every week. Nettie Smith and Autodidactos for their hard work on this show and Podcast versus Enemies, the Destiny PvE show that explains it all. If you think we sound great, know that it's 100% because of them. So we appreciate you folks.
Oh, I want to give a special shout out to Podcast versus Enemies. Everyone over there has been doing tons of like Court is big on infographics, and just the whole podcast is full of great information for what's good to use right now. PvE is hot, so go check out Podcast versus Enemies. Go check out Podcast versus Enemies, the Twitter, Destiny Massive Breakdowns Twitter, and the links to all the hosts over there, because there is just so much good info about what is the best weapons to use in PvE right now, because I couldn't tell you, but they can.
And I just think, man, like I'll just double down on that. I just think they leveled up. Like straight up, I just feel like their content coming out of that podcast is just leveled up. So big ups to our Destiny massive brethrens. I'll say that Destiny massive brethrens. I'll say that.
I like that.
I'll take that. That was accident, but I'll take that. Because I'm telling you, y'all are killing it. Y'all are killing it for real. And I think what it took was like Kit leaving. I think that's what it took. So good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, they're stepping it up. Court impetus.
That's a joke, by the way. I'm just messing with Kit.
Go check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
But dude, let's talk about Strand in depth for a second. Like we might talk about some of the abilities of the different classes, but the main thing that I wanted to focus on for this part was the Strand abilities and verbs that we have now. First off, to me, I know we've got Sever, Suspend, and Unraveling, but within that, and we talked about this going into Lightfall, is Woven Mail, and it was a thing that was one of the scariest things, but also hasn't felt like too much of a problem in the Crucible yet, but it's kind of a big deal. Gives the user a 25% damage resist for 10 seconds. that is a very long time to have such a large percentage of damage resist, because that is the same damage resist as a glaive shield in PvP. Like, what? I mean, okay, now your head is exposed. Someone like Tony's still gonna take you out, no problem. But me, with a fusion rifle...
Exactly.
I'm gonna have a hard time.
Or an opponent with a shotgun. You know, I mean, I'm a shotgunner, so I get into shotgun range with a lot of people as well. So that's what I'm thinking of it for. You know, that might be beneficial for me is in shotgun fights, just to kind of like dampen some of that pellet. The other thing, you know, I'm sure Lego's about to mention it, but it stacks multiplicatively with other damage resist like sources.
Yeah.
The easiest one to think about is resilience. So, you know, like y'all Titans, you know, you benefit, and we got to keep in mind that a slew of the new exotics that came through play off of that woven mail or giving woven mail, and then, you know, we've got, you know, fragments and stuff like that we could talk about. But nonetheless, it's interesting. But another reason why I contend that Strand dropped relatively balanced in PvP. I mean, anything dropped balance compared to stasis, but relatively balanced, you know, PvP is, it's just like, it was with intention. Headshots still matter, so, you know, certain weapons, or at the very least just precision shooting. So say, for example, you've got a spitter like an SMG, you know what I'm saying, which you're more likely to, you know, hit body shots than maybe somebody that is a seasoned, you know, hand cannon user.
Right.
It's not as if you can't still do optimal damage to them. You just, okay, all right, now I've got to hit the head. I got to make sure I hit the head. And I think that's cool, incentivizing that. It's just crazy. Like, I'm just saying, we get something that is scary off tops on paper, damage resistance, more damage resistance in PvP. It drops, and you're just like, you know what? I'm okay with that. Clearly, okay, all right, I got to hit heads now. Okay, I know what I got to do.
Oh,
you know?
no.
It's just not as scary.
I just came up with the worst thing ever, Tony. You're gonna hate me for this.
Okay, now it's scary. See, this is crazy. You always come up with something. Can you just not tell them? Can you not tell them? Let them discover it on. Maybe they won't, because you a mad scientist with it.
It's gonna happen anyway. It's gonna come out. Okay, here we go.
Okay, all right, here we go.
It's not that many people play with the glaive, so what it is. But I was talking beforehand with Rock in the chat, like, hey, does this stack? Yes, it does. Glaive damage resists with the shield. You stack that on woven mail. You got woven mail. That's two 25% damage resists that are stacking multiplicatively on top of each other. And guess what? A glaive shield prevents somebody from doing, Tony. I don't know why I didn't think about this. What is a glaive?
I don't know, man. I'm sitting here, and honestly, like, I didn't have to pee a second ago, but now I gotta pee, man. You just messed up my whole biology.
I know. You come at somebody with a glaive, and they cannot precision hit them, which is the one thing that woven mail, you know, its weakness. And so you take away the weakness of woven mail using the glaive.
My hand cannon don't matter no more.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Come on, man.
I wonder if that works. It has to.
It has to, yeah. Because what you're talking about is the fact, what I think you're saying here is that, okay, we've got damage resist from two different sources that stack multiplicatively, but the glaive shield basically compensating for the fact that you take precision damage. So basically, the glaive shield is taking care of the precision damage resistance, but you're still getting the stack. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So yeah,
you're nuts.
You're getting the stack and you're taking away the weakness of woven mail. I think this works. We're a few days into Lightfall, y'all. Like there's gonna be stuff I get wrong and stuff that I haven't been able to test yet. But oh man, that sounds deadly. So woven mail by itself, incredible. Really like it. I'm curious to see how we break this system, and I'm sorry, Merc, if you're listening.
It is. It's inevitable.
Yeah. So there's that woven mail, very strong. I think it's going to be very strong with suspend and the hunter dive that suspends people because because you can get it for free basically with the new exotic. Yeah. So that seems very strong because the main defense against getting suspended is using a shotgun or a fusion rifle up close point blank because you're forced in hip fire mode, which we'll go ahead and go into that through this. But suspend is the next thing. You're suspended in air. You can't use abilities. You're hip fire only and it lasts for 2 seconds. So you're stuck there. And the main thing that you want to use as your defense is the shotgun or a fusion rifle. But if they've got woven mail, guess what? Cannot even kill. If every bolt lands on a rapid fire fusion, it still will not kill a Tin Resil Guardian. I don't even think it will kill below Tin Resil. I'm pretty sure it's like up to 9, I think. It's something crazy like that with that damage
That's
resistance.
crazy. You literally just hyped up Zealot. Like, what's the name of that fusion?
I know, the new fusion rifle, the iterative loop.
Yeah. Zealot and also you literally just hyped them up, and then you just taking it away from them. You taking it away from them, man. That's savage. That's savage.
It is. So yeah, suspend is going to be very strong, especially when paired with something like Woven Mail, because all the defenses are going to go down, and what are you going to do?
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's the next verb. And then Sever is the next one. Severed targets deal 15% decreased damage output, and we believe that's for 8 seconds. A lot of this is based on community research, and so we're using what we have here. But Severed, this is the one where I'm not sure in PvP, where like I could see maybe
where it falls.
Yeah, maybe like tanking a super to save your team and quick players, and like if there's a super coming out and you want to sever them, help them do that 15% less damage. Is it gonna matter on most supers? Probably not.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I'm just not sure where sever is gonna come into play.
That's dicey too, because like if we're talking about like a neutralizer super, usually those things are just like juiced, well beyond what any sort of like damage resist can do. I'm talking about something like a Nova Bomb people or something like that.
Yeah.
And then if we're talking about like a roaming super, say we're talking about Spectral, like, man, and then, resilience probably plays into it, like your resilience value. That's tough to, yeah, it's a lot.
I got to reverse and say that it's not only up to like 9 resil that a rapid fire fusion couldn't kill someone with Woven Mail. You cannot at any resil, even 0. You will not one burst with a rapid fire. It takes 10 bolts, and you're not going to do it.
Rapid fire fusion mains
you only got
in
9.
shambles right now. Crazy.
So sorry, fusion rifle players. It's going to be tough, and shotgun players. It's going to be tough for both of y'all, and for every other fusion.
Why you didn't have to mention shotgun players? I forgot.
That's the way it is.
Honestly, I thought I was good. You didn't mention it.
So every other fusion type will require, except for high impacts. So adaptives, precisions against Woven Mail, they will still require every single one of their bolts to kill 7. And then high impacts, they have a breaking point. They'll be able to 4 bolt.
4 bolt.
Yeah, 4 bolt up to, up to 10. So up to 9. Okay. So it's like everything up to 9 resil, they'll have to use 4 bolts to kill. And then at 10 resil, they'll need 5 bolts. And this is against someone with Woven Mail.
Gotcha. And you said high impact fusions are 5 bolts total? They're 5 bolts total, period, anyway, total. Right? So you have to hit all the bolts.
So at 10, every single fusion needs all the bolts to kill except for rapids who can't even do it. At 9 resil, every fusion needs, or adaptives, precisions still need all their bolts, but high impacts will only need 4.
Gotcha.
So they're the ones, if you're getting suspended a lot, might want to bust out that high impact. It might be a little easier. But then again, they'll be right on your face if you're suspended, and high impacts are the worst to having that. So fusions are just going to have a hard time. I'm just going to tell you straight out, it's going to be tough if you're playing a lot of people with using suspending abilities.
Well, it's interesting. A couple things that will keep it moving, is one, folks, I don't know how to pronounce. I just want to, for completeness, I don't know how to pronounce this. Do you know how to pronounce this hunter helmet? This facade?
Oh,
it's like
no.
sidecar.
It's so tough to pronounce them.
Yeah. But anyway, the second word is facade, people. The second word. So it's gain Woven Mail when activating grapple. Increase flinch resistance while Woven Mail is active. That increased flinch resistance is actually cool for us, like primary mains. I'm just, okay. That's actually what got me on board with this exotic. Not even the Woven Mail. I was just like, increased flinch resistance? That's cool. I like the fact that with intention, right? I like the fact that they put this on Hunter, the class that generally is going to have the least resistance. On average, right? As opposed to putting this on Titan or giving it to a Titan in some form and giving them Woven Mail, pretty easily, right? And, it ends up stacking multiplicatively with a class that ends up typically having pretty high resilience, especially now.
Resilience won't really matter when it comes to damage resistance, so the resilience level isn't going to change anything for them, but it will if they're proccing one of their other abilities that could give them damage resist,
that makes sense. It's not damage. Yeah, resilience is not damage resist. Gotcha. Okay.
But it will help for lower resiliences who have less health. So yeah, I think it's still beneficial for that class. But now that you know about the damage resist, are you like, I'm into that part of it?
maybe, but I ain't gonna say it. I'm not gonna let it on. Cool. All right, what do we got next?
Oh yeah. Okay. So last one here is Unraveling Rounds, which this is the one I'm most curious about and have the least experience with, because it primarily, I haven't unlocked all the fragments yet. There's ways to get it through there, but other than that, it's mainly through the Warlock. When a target's unraveled, it's kind of like being jolted. They have to receive a certain amount of damage and then the effect takes place. So upon receiving 40 damage in PvP, they'll send out 3 seeking threads that deal 4 damage each. And these actually, I think the best way to visualize it, I said jolt, but that's just as far as the damage requirement. It really is more like how Outbreak Perfected or something with those nanites come out, and it quickly goes to, like, it's a very fast projectile that seeks out and does 4 damage, and so you see that 4 damage tick a lot. So we don't have any of the TTK numbers on this or how it's going to affect the Crucible and your time to kill, but if you can imagine rapidly dealing 4 damage to an opponent nearby the person you're shooting at, things could get interesting. And these rounds will unravel those around them as well, so it should spread. And every time that someone is hit by an unraveling seeking thread, it will reset their unraveled state, which is 9 seconds. So anybody who's unraveled lasts for 9 seconds, which is a pretty long time to be unraveled.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's actually a really long time, I would say, in the Crucible.
It sounds a bit like this could be, we talked a lot earlier in the intro about solar classes and how frustrating healing is to deal with, and I'm wondering if unraveling rounds might be a deterrent.
Like the natural counter.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't used it enough. I've only seen clips of it and kind of read how it works. But I'm really curious to see how how that
ends up playing out. Yeah, I hear you. And I'll say again, that's why I'm really excited about the gunplay synergy on Strand, Strand weapons, and of course between the fragments as well. That thread of propagation that I talked about, powered melee final blows, grant your Strand weapons, unraveling rounds, and then of course there's caveats with the mind spun aspect. We spoke about that earlier. Anyway, you end up putting on like Ophidians, right? And you got that extra melee range, on top of it, get that powered melee kill, get the unraveling on maybe your 120 round robin, or with the new like Strand SMGs, and Strand SMGs are like straight, just SMGs are just meta right now. But either way, you end up, you can just see the synergy, you can just see the impact, the pretty substantial impact that all of that procced, along with the other fragments that I spoke about. And you're on Warlock. The reason why I mention Ophidians is because, again, the fact that we've got a melee exotic, plenty of melee exotics, honestly, to get that thread of propagation, proc the unnerving rounds, but also because we're on Warlock, you are creating those threadlings, right? And you just got synergy. I spoke about it earlier. Strand and the synergy between like threadlings, Strand weapons. So,
and it's stuff
I don't know. I've just got ideas.
It's stuff that's hard to calculate too off the bat a few days in, because you've got stuff like Unraveling, which is dealing only 4 damage but rapidly, and then you've got stuff like Threadlings, which is dealing 41 damage whenever they hit something. And if you combine those together, how much extra damage are you really doing? It's kind of like the intrinsic perk we were talking about earlier with Round Robin, how it shoots those nanotech tracer rockets, which by the way, I didn't mention this, but sucks on special weapons. Don't ever try to expect to proc those. It takes 3 fusion shots in PvP to get it to proc, and that's never going to happen. So, primary weapon perk there. But stuff like that, where it's like this extra 2 ticks of 15 damage, this unraveling round, 4 ticks, of damage, the threadlings doing 41 to 45, depending on if you have the fragment. So there, like you said, there's ways to build into this, and once you add it all together, you end up with the Warlock melee that can one-hit you out of a grapple. So, it's pretty crazy.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right, so that's a really good transition into the class info in particular. So let's talk about what you got for Titan first, because I'm just going to play off of you for these descriptions.
I feel like I don't have much to say about Titan here. I was just going to kind of cover the basics if there was any extra damage information or timing stuff we could give, but we talked about Titan pretty in depth in the intro because it was the one class that was kind of the most underrated. I will say that I didn't realize that Into the Fray aspect, destroying a tangle Tangle gets Woven Mail, you also get 10 HP with that. So a quick like little boost there, and then that damage resistance on top of it. Pretty cool. Okay. The melee does sever, so you can use that to melee shotgun someone. I know that's the reverse order that you might do it, or maybe shotgun melee, because you don't have to get the kill after they're severed, even just the melee killing them. So that actually might be really good for shotgun melee players who slide in shotgun melee. You get the Tangle, you can destroy the Tangle and get that Woven Mail and 10 HP right off the bat and just keep going. Or you can use it to throw and grapple, or just throw and do damage. I saw clips, I don't have the exact numbers on this either yet, but I saw clips of that Tangle doing 100 damage to enemies when they threw it.
Interesting. Okay.
And it like is a radius of an explosion, so I saw it do like 100, 160 to someone who's a little bit further away. So that could be a really good method to slide in shotgun melee, get the Tangle, throw it, and just do that loop. You know, there's a loop there to be had. You could even throw it, grapple it, go into the next group of enemies with the Woven Mail shot. You know, I feel like there's potential there. I think that will proc when it blows up, when you hit. I don't see why it wouldn't.
I don't see why it wouldn't either. Yeah. So off the rip.
That sounds like it would be really good synergy between using a very aggressive Strand Titan loadout there. So now I'm getting myself wanting to try it.
Well, it's crazy too, and then we'll get on to Warlock. It's crazy too what you said about you're really looking forward to Trials, you know?
Yeah.
And these subclasses with Strand, as we continue to step through them, right, on each class, each character, just seems like it provides so much potential for hero moments.
Yeah.
You know? And diversity of hero moments as well, you know, because there's you know, nuanced, I would definitely say like nuanced options for like crowd control, you know, that allow you to do chip damage. I talk about the simplest way that I can explain this for folks in the audience is I talk about often how I got 100 recovery. And, you know, if I'm on a hunter, then of course I'm going to have my high mobility. If I'm on a side, I'm going to have a high resilience. But the next thing up is actually not my super. It's not my super. A lot of people have like 100 on their super for PvP. It's actually my grenade. Why? Because in like a 1v2, 1v3 situation, you know what I'm saying? Your grenade is like literally your best friend.
Yeah.
It's literally your best friend because that's how you get the chip damage on either the first, second, or third enemy, or maybe, you know what I'm saying, like you get it on the second after you end up, but you're weak after the first, right? And so you're trying to fight the second, and obviously if the second, say we're talking about hand cannons at 140, you know what I'm saying, all they need to do is maybe get 2 taps on you, but you got to get 3 taps on them because the second person is full health. You throw your grenade, you do 100 damage, for example, and you don't have to do as much, and you could at least trade if everybody's hitting their shots. But my point is just providing, you know, these are what Lego just described is providing so many opportunities for kind of like crowd control elements that aren't, you know, that takes some intention. It sounds like takes some intention, some couple steps, right? Couple steps. You got to be used to kind of the gameplay loop. But if you do that, can provide some pretty cool hero moments by providing that additional chip damage on multiple enemies in order for you to make some pretty cool plays. So yeah, I'm right there with you. The more we step through this, the more excited I am to just watch clips from Trials. And I'm also just excited about what you said earlier, because I didn't say it. The fact that people should be trying stuff out in quick play. It's not that serious, people.
Yes,
you know, I love seeing people just use a variety of builds and just try to pop. I don't care whether folks are like, you know, doing it with skill, not doing it with skill, trying, not trying. And I'm certainly not advocating that everybody take quick play like seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be a place for all of us, right? People that just want to lean back, chill, have a beer after like a long day. But, you know, I'm excited to see that slowly come back to the Crucible, where, you know, skill-based matchmaking and, you know, some of the more oppressive elements of the last few seasons have just, you know, made us kind of cower a little bit and take it a little too seriously. So let's keep on trying. Let's get these clips. Quick play's the place. And let's just have some fun. So it's cool to see Strand incentivizing that.
For sure, yeah. And I think, you know, speaking of that chip damage that you do, that leads perfectly into the Warlock melee, that Arcane Needle that unravels targets and deals 68 damage as it goes. We already hinted at the one shot, but also just what you were talking about as that tool to, like, you got 2 people coming at you, throw that out, unravel. Now they're unraveled and dealing that 4 damage to the side, you know, like you were just talking about. So could be something you could start stacking there to get that final kill.
Yeah, no, so true. And, you know, we'll move on to the aspects, but even if it's not a lot of damage, like I take damage, I take damage, that's gonna make me hesitate a lot of times in a gunfight. So it's not even so much about like taking a massive amount of damage. You take damage, and now you got to think about, it just surprises you sometimes.
Yeah.
It surprises you sometimes, and on top of that, to some degree, some TTKs might change, you know what I'm saying? So forgiveness on weapons might change. So, yeah, I like the tools.
Man, you got me wanting to mess around with these tools now, because a lot of times I'm pushing into what can get you a one-shot with something, when really I should be asking with these, what can get really high amount of damage that you usually wouldn't one-shot, but with this chip damage, what will it do,
True. Especially against these Titans, bro. I just want to say again, it's still a war on Titan. Okay, let's go.
Well, Warlocks actually are stealing one from the Titans playbook with this one-hit melee, because they've got Mind Spun Advocation, which on grapple creates those 3 Strandlings.
That's right.
Which they swing in and then do the melee. They come out, the Threadlings, and then they do that extra 41 damage on top of the melee for the one shot. We'll see how this plays out in game. I've seen lots of clips of it working in a real live game, but I'm curious if somebody jumps back, if the Threadling doesn't do damage, you just leave them one shot, that sort of thing. And then the other versions of that are you can consume your Threadling grenade to get 5 perch Threadlings, which is cool to just have that potential. And then whenever you shoot someone, the perch Threadlings go out and chase them. And then you could also consume your grenade to give Weaver's Trace. And this blows my mind, y'all. And I had to check with people because I don't run with the Warlock. I was like, hey, it says this is 25 seconds of a perk that lets you suspend enemies around a target on a kill. So you kill someone and it's like Firefly goes off in the explosion, except it suspends them for 2 seconds. But the perk lasts 25 seconds in PvP.
That's crazy.
An eternity. That is an eternity.
Yeah. No, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
It lasts until you die, basically. That's what that says.
Yeah.
That's what that says. Oh, so yeah, I can't believe that I said in the pre-Lightfall, this was one that we talked about, that I was like, I love that there's something that lets you bet on yourself. I'm going to give up my grenade that's going to help me do this, and it's going to let me get this Weaver's Trace. And to find out that it's for 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And we're going to get to some stuff with the mods that last a really long time, but that alone, that is a really long time. It is really curious how this plays out.
Well, and let's keep in mind too, though, it's relatively balanced, or it's balanced by, right, the fact that you can't refresh it on a kill, right? So it's not like Devour. You eat your great grenade, and it's not like Devour. It doesn't refresh on kill, So honestly, I kind of see it as just like a troll move, man. It's just like a.
Oh, really? See, I think this is the card that somebody comes out when they're like, hey, I know I'm the best here. I'm gonna show it to you. Eat that grenade. And suspend everyone.
Crazy. It's interesting. I was gonna say this kind of at the end after we finished up with the Warlock, but I'll say it now because it's kind of just naturally. It's one is that what was like a big feedback, criticism, constructive. I would say constructive criticism with regards to the 3.0s, with regards to specifically Arc 3.0, right? Is that, Titan's got all the enhanced stuff.
Yeah.
The enhanced grenades. That's typically been the realm of Warlock, right? The enhanced abilities, the ability to, another criticism, and I said it as well. I didn't like the fact that I can't eat my grenade anymore. For Devour, I can't eat my grenade for Devour anymore, which was dope. That carried so many of us through like year one as one of the more powerful neutral game abilities to enhance our gunplay and our ability to go on streaks. Can't eat my grenade anymore. For a solar, in order to actually throw that heal nade, right? I'm really, really disappointed that, we lost that. Then, Arc 3.0 was kind of like, I say this lightly. It wasn't really, I'm saying, because it's a little bit insult to injury, but I say that lightly. It's a little bit insult to injury on top of it because, we ended up losing, Warlocks ended up losing that Arc Web, right? You know, something that was so substantial to the Arc Warlock subclass. I mean, it carried, you know, the Arc Warlock subclass for so long, right? And so it's nice. It's nice. I'm just saying, it's nice to see the consumption come back of the grenade to enhance your enhance an ability. It's nice as we continue to step through Warlock, the threadlings, you know, et cetera, you know, to see, you know, the enhanced abilities come back to Warlock, but in a way that, you know, is not passive at all. You know, it's not passive at all. Like like Warlocks go in on the offensive
kinda
with
aggro.
this stuff, and it's just cool. It's kind of aggro. So it's cool to see. And yeah, I'll just say, because I just remembered that I said it on paper, all this threadling stuff, all this egg stuff. You know, we're about to talk about this creating threadling eggs, which reminds me of some aliens type stuff. You know, it seems like hella creepy. It's not as bad in game. But on paper, I was like, man, this sounds like really creepy, man.
It's kind of scary to see them running at you. Yeah, Weaver's Call creates 3 threadling eggs, and then now they're running at you. All this, there's so many ways to get those eggs and to get those threadlings running out, and it's a little scary. It's easy to get rid of, but in the moment, I imagine there are some people with some fears, some deep fears that they can't be in the Crucible anymore.
Yeah. Weaver's Call, and so that leads us to the next aspect, right? I'll go say it, like Weaver's Call is the next aspect, and there's only 2 aspects, right? So I mean, you're gonna have this equipped, but you end up creating 3 threadling eggs on Rift. This is some alien stuff.
And remember, these threadlings come back to you if they run out and they don't catch an opponent. They come back if they're not shot. And so you
I
can
ain't been in the
stack
Crucible
them.
yet. This sound okay. Nah, that sound creepy, man.
You don't want to be Papa Physics?
It sounds creepy even to me. I don't want to see eggs running back to me in the Crucible, bro. Oh man, y'all created a monster.
Okay, well, I think we can talk about the Hunter now, because we talked about how much threadlings damage was doing.
Exactly.
And I feel like for the Hunter, I don't really have much to say either. We know that ensnaring slam suspends, and then we've got the Widow's Silk, which is it's the aspect that lets the Hunter, when they grapple, it creates that tangle there for other people to use, and it refunds your grapple energy, and that tangle lasts for 15 seconds and it refreshes like for another 15 seconds whenever you grapple onto it. So I've seen a lot of plays with that in PvE. PvP, not as much, but to be able to traverse the map so easily with those multiple grapples and using it multiple times, or even just like doing what I did and spinning in the air way above the opponent to where they can't figure out where you are, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that don't work on PC, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and say that don't work on PC, bro. I think it's cool too. Oh, so keep in mind, people that we're talking about, like, I don't know if it's confusing or not confusing. I don't know to people, you know,
right?
Because I don't know how, like, I don't know how folks like see this, but grapple tangle, you know, is the green light energy like left over from when people tangle, you know, to a point in the air, but like a tangle is that other element, that dark green like ball of yarn. So I just want to make sure that distinction is clear. Like a grapple tangle, you know, the leftover element from when, for example, a hunter or anybody tangles up in the sky or whatnot, and then the actual like tangle that is a product of some ability that just spawns. And then you throw it and it explodes. But you could also, of course, like grapple onto that. But I do honestly think that they should make some sort of a better distinction with that.
That would be nice. Yeah, I should say grapple tangle instead of just tangle when referring to this. You're correct. That is a little confusing. Speaking of confusing, the mod stuff that we're about to go over, I want to skip over Hunter. If there's anything else you want to say with it, because I'm about to go deep here, and I'm
no, I'm good to go. I'm ready. I got my black tea, man. I'm ready for this right here, because I don't know anything about this right here.
This is good. This is gonna be good. I hope if Tony gets this and understands it, then I got it good, because he's not looking at any spreadsheet or anything.
Nope.
I'm just gonna say it, and I hope I articulate it really well, because I think there's some really important stuff here. The armor system, the mod system has changed so much, so let's dive into it, and let's see what we got here. So
I'm confident, by the way, bro, because we should all be subscribed to Lego the Flash YouTube.
Oh man,
let's get it.
Okay, so here we go. We got a new armor charge system. Forget getting your orbs and getting higher energy fire. Forget all the wells you were used to in PvE. There's a form of wells that you can get now. You know, it's like fire sprites and the void leftovers and the arc. I forget what they call traces that come back to you. So
Ionic traces.
Yeah, we've got all those exist for every class, but those aren't going to just give you a buff all of a sudden. You have to figure out kind of a way to convert them. They give you ability energy or things like that, but you need to figure out some way to convert them. The only exception to this is fire sprites, the solar subclass this season. There's a seasonal mod called Solar Surge. It's in your artifact, and if you unlock it, you just get it for free. No, you don't need to do anything else. Anytime you pick up a fire sprite, you will get charged, basically charged with light on the new armor charge. So think of armor charge as charged with light. So usually the main way to get your armor charge is by picking up orbs, though. Whenever you have a mod on that uses an armor charge, it means that when you pick up an orb, you're going to get a charge. It shows 6 boxes when you get a charge, but you can only fill up 3 of those by default. 3 is kind of like the max. We can do things to extend that, but we'll get there. And so,
do you think for simplicity of like the UI, do you think that they should like take that down to like, you know, if you can only get 3,
they should black them
like
out.
6 boxes?
Yeah, they should do something.
Okay,
they should
right.
because I want to see them like faded away or something like but right now the way it is, like have X's over them or something, because I want to know that it's
like
possible.
Right now that you actually have the potential to get those, when in fact if you don't have these other things equipped, you actually can't.
Yeah, there's actually a big Reddit post about that very thing with like thousands of upvotes. Like, please take away the ability to see that many when I can't get that many. So 3 is the max at standard. So the traditional ways that you can make an orb nowadays, basically any way that you can make an orb, you pick one up, you're gonna get your armor charge. But the main ways from the mod system are helmet siphon mods, which we've always had. You get a double kill, it makes an orb. So you can run multiple of them pretty easily now, because unless you, like, I could run double targeting on something and still run a siphon mod, no problem. That was not an option before. Previously, you had to run one or the other pretty much, or 1 and 1. Now I could run 2 targeting and that, no problem. So
you're talking about via Artifice armor, is that what we're talking about?
I'm not even talking about Artifice. Just the way the new system is with just a standard
setup, just
piece.
In general.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
I can. There's 3 combat slots that slot all these mods.
That's right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the clarification.
So, yeah. So helmet siphon mods. That's like one way. Then we've got on our arms. There's firepower and heavy-handed. Firepower gives you grenade kills, will grant an orb, and heavy-handed on melee kills, you'll get an orb. So I haven't dove into these ones very much, but that seems like a very easy way to make an orb in the Crucible. Getting a melee kill happens all the time, you know?
And these are all guaranteed?
Yeah, guaranteed orb. It's a powered melee kill for that one, but still, powered melee kill, that happens.
But still, I feel like, because I ask these questions because I'm actually... like surprised a little bit, because orbs were like plentiful before, like I can't remember what change off the top of my head, but
and then
for the last several seasons, and then they just weren't. Right, they just weren't. And then we had to choose between targeting for our 2 neutral game weapons,
right,
or like helmet siphon, the siphon mods, right? And so to see, I mean, I wasn't surprised by the helmet siphon mod right there that you had just mentioned, but I am like surprised that this is not in a bad way, but I'm just surprised just in general. I like orbs, and I like to continue to like build into orbs, whether it be for the super or I know, I'm ready, baby, I'm ready. But I'm just saying, like, my point is, like, I'm actually kind of surprised to see after they were kind of heavy-handed with pulling back orb generation in PvP, bringing it back out with a confirmed, like, a grenade kill, a melee kill. These aren't chances at generating an orb. This is it generates an orb. So that's interesting. Okay.
And then the last one, was a little too easy, I guess, because it is currently not available. Reaper on your legs, get a kill within 5 seconds of using your ability. It does sound very free in the Crucible, and people were abusing this to get tons of orbs. So yes, Reaper is disabled right now. I'm curious where this one ends up, if they make it do something different or what it is that they think is the problem for it. There hasn't been any clarification. Because to me, this would be my primary way to make orbs. Just dodge and get a kill. Like, that's free.
You so cheesy, bro. You so cheesy.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
All right, I'm going to get those orbs. Okay. So all these that do all this stuff they're white mods. Everything's color coded now when you look at them. So all these ones are white.
I like this.
And also targeting, reloader, scavenger, all those mods are all white. So to think of white mods as like your generic either orb makers, or they're doing something for your stats, or that your resilience.
Can we think of it
mods.
like passive? Like they're just passively giving us what's on the actual, like what's on the description?
I wouldn't call them that because there's other mods down here you could call passive easier. So I'll just call them your normal standard mods, maybe.
Standard mods.
The white ones are just they're just the standard, what you're used to seeing, kind of. Okay. So those are the standard ones: targeting, handling, stat boosts, the siphons, all the white mods. Now let's move on to the blue mods. Blue mods are the ones that once you have an armor charge, they start an effect that will be a decaying effect. You could some call this one the passive one because it just starts passively applying some kind of buff. The ones that fall into this are the surge mod, or there's font mods now. Font mods, they grant you a certain amount of stat, 30, 50, or 60 for like recovery, intellect, resilience, pretty much any stat. There's a font mod for it. And then the timer will start. I think the default for each of these is 10 seconds. If you just have it standard, it starts eating your armor charge for 10 seconds, and you have that buff for 10 seconds. So these are decaying mods. The most important one to me here is Surge. I could see people wanting to go with Font, I guess, if you wanted to keep your recovery super high while you've got an armor charge. That could be an option for some people.
Or get your grapple back sooner on a hunter or something like that.
Well, that's the thing,
if you really want to be like Strand Spider-Man.
If you're running 100 mobility already, though, you're already maxed. So it's not going to put you over.
This is a good point.
So that's the reason I don't gravitate towards these as much. I know there's been some videos about it. You got to run this. It's 30, 40, this much, 30, 50, 60 stats for these things, depending on how many you have stacked. But I don't personally prefer those. I prefer the Surge weapon buff. Of course I do, because I'm the damage stacker. So this is the one that I actually went in and got the numbers for, because nobody had done it yet. I saw a bunch of PvE stuff for it, but in PvP, it does work, and it stacks on empowering rifts, or empowering buffs in general, radiant, anything. It stacks on multiplicatively, and it goes from, if you have one of these mods, it does 3% more damage while you have an armor charge. If you have two of them, it does 4.4% more damage, and if you have three of them, it does 5.5%. The Surge mods are on your legs, which are also where your Kickstart mods live now, so you will pay a price for it. But I have been stacking 3 of these and having a lot of fun with it. 5.5% extra damage on your weapons can change a lot for you. I know it's minimal, but just imagine having that damage for a long period of time. We'll get to that in a second. I know it starts at 10 seconds, but things get crazier here in a second. So those
I'm looking forward to
those are all your blue mods. They just start decaying. So say you run behind somebody with a super. They made 3 orbs because they cast their super. They got some kills. You pick up 3 of them. You've got all 3 of your armor charge slots filled, that you're maxed out, and the 10-second decay starts for these blue mods. And every single time a charge runs out, the next 10 seconds starts. So if you pick up 3 orbs, that's 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay.
And if you pick up another orb during that time, if you're maxed out, it will reset to 10 seconds, that buff. So that's kind of how the system works. So those are your blue mods, decaying mods, or passive, depending on how you want to say it. And then the next ones are yellow mods. These ones are mods activated by an event, like you get low on your ability energy, like you use it, and that's when a Kickstart mod would come in, and it would eat your charge, and Kickstart mods actually eat all your charges, however many you have, and gives you a certain amount of energy back when you use your ability. It activates when you've got less than 5% of whatever kickstart is kickstarting, your ability, your grenade, your melee, and it will give you so much energy back based off of how many charges you have. I don't have those percentage numbers. No one's calculated them yet for PvP, but I'd imagine if you have a lot of charges, you get like all of your energy refunded.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of charges, were we talking about 3 or are we talking about like 4, 5, 6?
I don't know. I don't have the numbers.
Okay.
I've never done it, but that's how the new Kickstart mods work now. And they live on your legs, which, you know, as I said, is where the Surge mods are. And some other ones we'll get to in a second. And so it's going to be tough. I think the legs are the mod slot where most people are going to struggle now. Used to be helm, used to kind of be the
and arms as well,
and arms. Yeah, but yeah, now arms and chest piece I don't think are going to be as much of a problem. I think it's legs are going to be the one that like, what should I run? I'm not sure. So then along
that's fair because I'll break you up just for a split second. Sorry to interrupt.
You're good.
Because, you know, for the longest time, like legs were after scavengers went, right? Mm-hmm. Even though scavengers are bugged right now, I believe unintentionally, but you know, you guys can figure that out on your own. What's it called? Legs were, you know, after scavengers lost out in PvP and scavengers stopped working in PvP, they disabled them. I mean, there wasn't as much to put down there, basically. Exactly. So it was kind of the natural place, you know, for it to be like a limiting spot with regards to, you know, the new mod system that we have. So I feel like at any point there's going to be somewhere like 1 or 2 pieces of armor is going to have like a lot to it where you're going to have to make some choices.
Yeah.
It does sound like so far that again, like it was designed with intention, and you know, the things that were on legs, that's what it sounds like, and Lego's confirming it. The things that are on legs, you know, like it's healthy that those are limiting each other, basically, so that you can't equip like certain things with certain things. Maybe become a little too powerful of a guardian in the Crucible. So
I think you can kind of see where I'm coming from when I'm like, is it intentional that there's a 5.5% buff like available here? It's like, well, you're giving up Kickstart, or you're giving up you know, these auto loading. Some people like their auto loading stuff. In PvE, that's going to be way more challenging to decide, because you got auto loading there, you got scavs, and so it's like, how do you choose between all those? But in PvP, for me, the answer is the Surge mods. I just really like having that extra damage. But there's also this one I don't think is going to come to play in PvP, but there's one called Emergency Reinforcement that's a yellow mod that gives you damage resist after you've got, and you have to have 3 charges stacked for it to work. So you had to have picked up 3 orbs. When you're weak, you get a certain amount of damage resistance. And I'm imagining it's going to be a lot, but you have to have 3 armor charges. Kind of going to be hard to come by depending on how you got your build set up. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if you're prolific with it, and you're getting those grenade kills and you're staying alive, you know, like your Lego, by the way, the sum of all tears of, we're just gonna call, that's what I started calling the sum of all tears of
dude, just let me show it on my emblem, please. Let me track it. I want my sum of all tears.
That'd be dope. Do we really not have a tracker for sum of all tears?
No, it's the one gold medal that it is, and I have like 350 sum of all tears. I'm like, please, like, let me. That might be an exaggeration. It might be 150. I don't know, but it's a lot.
Well, nonetheless,
like,
I see the point. That's something
those.
I would definitely. If I was like a Rumble, if that was my playlist, that'd probably be the one that I'd like to show off. That's cool.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, Bungie. All right.
Okay, now here's where things get crazy. So we got our blue mods that decay. We got our yellow mods that activate right away. We got the white mods to get it all
like
into
the
use
standard
with our stats. Yeah, standard.
Okay.
Then we got green mods. These ones manipulate your armor charge in some way. I don't know what to call them. They're like manipulating mods. So on your helmet, this is where Powerful Friends and Radiant Light are now. These ones, Powerful Friends, now on an orb pickup, any ally within 18 meters receives an armor charge with you. So you are a powerful friend now. You get an orb, all your friends get an armor charge. That's
18 meters is pretty substantial.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you don't get all the stats you used to get with these perks, with these mods anymore, but it does this thing, which is really important. And I think we might see some more people run this once they realize what this is. But I don't know. This is Helmet. So Helmet's a tough spot to give up.
It's popular. It's popular, yeah.
And then we got Radiant Light is the next one. On supercast allies within 21 meters receive an armor charge. So on a super, instead of picking up an orb, but it's 21 meters, a little bit bigger. So that one's pretty good too. So these are all, ways to like extend the armor. These ones are
yeah.
extending that armor charge. And then this is where, individually it's going to get crazy. So for chest piece, you got charged up. You're able to carry more armor charges. 3's the normal, but you can get up to 6 if you stack your chest pieces charged up mods on. So if you don't care about unflinching, then you put this thing on and you can go past 3. You run over 4 orbs from 2 people running their supers. You've got 4 charges. So that's 40 seconds, you know.
Okay,
so
and I guess my question for you is, I did see, and this is something I wanted to comment on, and I generally like, I do feel like there's some concerns with it, but I did see that the mod system, in the new mod system, we ended up getting mods that were substantially less energy cost.
Yes.
Less energy cost. And so I know that, like, for example, like targeting and maybe even unflinching, I haven't checked unflinching, but I do know that targeting is like only like 1 now or something like that. It's like really cheap.
It's much easier to
is that
stack.
something is that something that is also here? Like, these mods are relatively inexpensive to the point where, because when I see, you know, as somebody that doesn't know anything about this system outside of what you're explaining right now, when I see, oh man, I've got to have like 3 charged up mods, is that really that hard?
So
like energy wise,
it's difficult. Like if you stack 3 of something, most of these mods, the green ones, cost 3 charges.
Oh, okay.
So it's enough, but it's not like, the only exception is Powerful Friends is 4. That's the orb pickup one, which that's
4
a
energy,
pretty big deal. But all the other ones are pretty much 3. So you can stack 3 of them. You're just going to give up the ability to get that 10 stat boost in your first column where you would usually use a few.
Okay, gotcha. Understood. All right.
Yeah. So it's tough, but it's doable. Like a very, very doable if you have a decent stat setup. Especially, we haven't really gone over this, but the Artifice armor giving you a free. Okay, Tony, I regret it. You were in there with Kaido watching her dance, doing her thing, and I should have been there,
man.
I should have been
there with me, man. You should, bro.
It's my bad.
You know what? So what he's referring to, right, is Artifice armor has an extra, just a completely extra mod slot where you can slot in for free, no energy whatsoever. You could have 10 energy, all your stuff completely filled up, and you can still slot this in. You can slot in any stat, you know, any stat mod, and it gives you +3 in that stat category: resilience, intellect, etc. And it's all free. So if you're thinking in your head like I did initially, oh man, you know, typically intellect was like more expensive, now resilience is more expensive. It doesn't matter. You know, it's completely free. It's +3 across any of those.
So
you should have been in there, man. I'm telling you, it's yeah.
I don't think I've ever slept on something so hard in Destiny in my life than grinding for Artifice armor.
I don't understand, bro. You're probably in Rumble. He was probably in Rumble getting them some of all tiers. That's what it was, chat. That's what it was.
Oh, man. Okay, so if you got those, good for you. I don't. So maybe your stats
y'all
look
hear
good.
the jealousy in his voice?
I know. The shotgun
right
and now Artifice armor, and I just, oh man. Okay, so you got the charged up. That's one. That one to me is free. I don't use the unflinching one so much, so I'll stacked up charged up just to have like 1 or 2 of them just to have them.
Okay.
And then legs. This is the most interesting to me, and also the most difficult because this isn't right. It's not legs. I'm sure it's class item because legs are where the surges are found. So this is where it's class item. I'm like almost 100. Yeah, it is. Okay. So class item, I just misspoke. Class item is where your elemental time dilation mods are. If you ran Font of Might at all, you're familiar with it for PvE, but this works in PvP now. You got to think outside of the well box. Anything that was verbs for that now translates to this system. So elemental time dilation extends your time from 10 seconds. Okay, ready for this? If you stack 3 of them, you got 20 seconds of the buff.
Each, as in like
no. So if you gotta have 3 of, each armor charge, yes.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm sorry. Each game of team quick play, for example, is 15 minutes, bro.
I know.
So you're telling me that just 3, the standard armor charge with no charged up. So you got 3 armor charges. You just stack 3 elemental time dilations on your class item. That's a minute.
I know. Isn't that insane?
Okay.
And so this is what that whole video that I did was about. My mind was just blown because at first looking at the damages, even in PvP, I'm like, oh, it's not that much. In PvE, it's like slightly less than Fonta Might used to do. Like I think it's 22% when you max out. Fonta Might used to be 25. I'm like, is this better system? I don't know. And then I started fleshing it out, and I was like, man, oh my gosh, you stack on just, you could just stack on 2. You don't even have to run 3. Just run 2 elemental dilations.
You're right.
That's 18 seconds.
Yeah, it's just 2 seconds off of 20.
Yeah.
Because it's diminishing returns, obviously. Like that's how mods work. It's always diminishing returns. So every extra one that you stack on. So 18 is about 20. It's about 20.
Exactly. And so if you have none, that's 10 seconds. 1 is 15 seconds per armor charge, as Tony said. And then 2 times is 18 seconds. And then if you run 3 elemental time dilations, that's 20 seconds per armor charge.
Wild.
Per armor charge. So just giving you an example of this, and this is what I showcased in the video, is I ran an entire one of the seasonal content things that lasts like 15 to 20 minutes. I never ran out. Not one time. I was even in my menu swapping guns, doing stuff, came back. I had 15 seconds left. I was like, okay, well, I'll just go grab another orb. Back up to 40 seconds. Like it just so fast just goes through. And then with how much we just talked about how easy it is to heavy-handed melee kill grants an orb. You shoulder charge someone as a Titan with Peregrine Greaves. You got 20 seconds. 20 seconds, 5.5% buff, or kick someone. Whatever you choose to do, you got it right there. So, I just
what's kind of interesting about that too? Like, oh man, you're blowing my mind right now. You're literally blowing my mind. What's interesting about that too? Say for example, you're on a Titan, you got 3 armor charges. You got, what was that mod that ended up?
Emergency reinforcement with the 3.
You got emergency reinforcement on, right? And I'm just double checking what you wrote here.
Woven mail, and you got a glaive.
Come on, man. I'm done. That's crazy, because the thing is, you end up having emergency reinforcement. People say that this system doesn't have depth.
Oh,
That's one of the biggest like criticisms that I've heard about the new mod system. And I don't if I don't know anything about it, I'm not necessarily going to make a judgment on something I don't know. So I was like, coming into this discussion, like, man, okay, well, a lot of people, I've heard it multiple times. Maybe the mod system doesn't. This looked like depth to me. I'm not saying I'm not saying that it's maybe it was diversity that they said. Maybe it was diversity, which I still see. This is cool. This is cool. I was concerned about us losing those elemental wells, us losing Warmind cells, us losing, the charge with light. I was definitely, as a PvP main, focused on the fact that Powerful Friends and Radiant Light weren't going to give us, what we were getting before from, that plus 20 like mobility from Powerful Friends and plus 20 melee from Radiant Light, just passive.
Lots of stuff.
This kind of looking like depth, and this is looking like a little bit of diversity too. So, yeah, really interesting, really interesting. So that I was just like you said, emergency reinforcement. What I was gonna say, in addition to what you said, the fact that we got all these damage resist like sources that, if you play in a certain way, the gameplay loop can be quite impactful with multiplicative damage resistance from multiple sources, right? But also just think about something simple. You got 3 charges on a Titan. You got emergency reinforcement. You go in with what was it called? The melee one, heavy-handed, right? You go in with heavy-handed and emergency reinforcement. You got 3 armor charges. You go in, you take damage. Your damage resist because again, emergency reinforcement is damage resist after 3 charges, and you're weak. You go in. And you get a little bit of damage resistance, you survive the melee, and you get the kill with the melee. Well, now you got an extra orb. Doesn't that also then give you right back to 3?
If you see, that's the thing.
Is
we're not there yet, because that you don't get 3 automatically with, like, if you're stacking charged up. And here's where it gets complicated.
Okay, I'm listening.
Is elemental time dilation is on your class item. Also on your class item is stacks on stacks. Stacks on stacks is the one that if you stack these up, every armor charge you get will give you 2 armor charges. So there's this trade-off of I could get a lot of armor charges really fast, which you don't need elemental time dilation if you're running what you said, emergency reinforcements. So you could run that. You could run 3 stacks on stacks, or I'm not actually sure how that stacks, but I'd assume that you could get, I guess with just 2 of them, stacks on stacks, you would get 3 orbs for every one that you picked up. And there you go. There's your build that you just made. You just had to customize it. Yeah.
Hold on. So does stacks on stacks just give you the armor charge, or does it drop? I'm just getting into the nitty gritty. I apologize, folks. Does stacks on stacks 2 armor charges for every one that you get? Does it drop 2 orbs, or it just gives you 2 armor charges for every orb that you pick up?
It's just for every 1 orb you pick up, you get 2 armor charges. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm assuming I actually haven't stacked this yet, and like we said, all this is new. I'm just showing you the depth of the system that we have so far.
I appreciate it.
That I believe that if you put 2 of these on, that you'll get 3 charges when you pick up an orb.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So okay, you get 3 charges.
And you don't need elemental time dilation because the mod you're talking about is a yellow mod, and yellow mods, they don't decay. Only the blue mods do. So Surge or Font are the ones that would use elemental time dilation. But if you're going for yellow mods, you do want. Oh man. This is opening doors up for me even as I'm talking about it. I'm like,
blow my mind. I'm listening.
You should always run stacks on stacks if you're running Kickstart. So there's another way to run it. If you don't want the damage resistance, and we're not even sure how big that amount is in PvP yet. If you just want to use Kickstart for Kickstart melee, maybe you run in with Peregrine Greaves as a Titan. You get the 1-hit melee off, you make an orb, you grab that orb, you're running 3 stacks on stacks, you have a ton of armor charges, your Kickstart mod kicks in, eats all those armor charges, you got your melee back immediately. I'm not sure how much, but I'm pretty sure that system would work.
Even if you don't get it back, you know that it's most of it. Even if you don't get it completely back, you know that you pretty much got it.
It's gonna be a
melee
lot.
too, so it's a relatively low cooldown. You're getting it back. This is blowing my mind. So
I'm gonna go try this right afterwards. This is crazy.
You need to go to bed.
I know,
what are you talking about? No, the question, so I think you might have been misunderstood. You gave me some good information, like in addition to, for sure, because I know I understand the stacks on stacks, the elemental time dilation, and as somebody who is an astrophysics like enthusiast, that elemental time dilation is just a really cool name, by the way.
It is a cool name.
A side note. So I understand those a little bit better. I also understand how they end up playing with, those yellow mods like Kickstart and what's kind of advantageous between the two to equip, to synergize with those other mods that we were just talking about. Now, emergency reinforcement, you said damage resist after 3 charges and you're weak. Do you get damage resist? Do you just hold damage resist? You just holding that? Or do they,
I think it's
after
for
you start taking damage, does it take it away? For an amount of time? Because you said yellow mods are activated by an event. We just don't know what that amount of time for the damage resist is, and I assume it takes the 3 charges away. I'm just trying to fully understand what this emergency reinforcement does.
It takes 3 charges away, which is why I jumped into the next stacks on stacks, because I'm like, you're only going to get 1 charge back. That's not enough to proc it again. But since you don't need elemental time dilation, run stacks on stacks. There we go.
Got you. Stacks on stacks, heavy-handed. So the gameplay loop that we're referring to, by the way, everybody, and then we'll just keep it moving, is you equip emergency reinforcement. You're on a Titan, for example. We're talking about shoulder charge. Assume that we have like Peregrine Greaves on, so we can just make this simple. You get a kill with, you're not just making damage with the shoulder charge. Peregrine Greaves allows you to just kill somebody with a shoulder charge. So emergency reinforcement, you've got 3 charges. You go in and you tank some damage because you've got some damage resist, right? From the emergency reinforcement, because you have at least, I'm going to say it again, because you have at least 3 charges of armor charge for that damage resist for that mod to proc. Then you get the kill with Peregrine Greaves, for example, off of that melee, off of that shoulder charge. You proc heavy-handed. Heavy-handed ends up generating an orb, right, off of a melee kill, which is what that does. Then you have, for example, 3 stacks on stacks on your class item. You get 2 armor charges every orb that drops. So you get 3 orbs. I'm sorry, 3. How many? 3 armor charges again?
I think you'd only need to run 2 stacks on stacks mods. Right. I need to check to, like, I don't know if those stacks on stacks. But I would assume that it does. It's pretty expensive. Stacks on stacks is a 4 energy.
Oh, it's
so
4?
You couldn't even stack 3 of them. You could only max that 2, which makes sense because that would be a 3 armor charges you'd pick up from 1 orb. So,
Okay.
and you can do a lot with that. I really want to go try this out. I want to try it out with Kickstart, and I want to try it out with emergency reinforcement. I'm really curious how much damage resist that gives.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering, like, you get that shoulder charge, you drop that orb from heavy-handed, and you got three, three armor charges. I'm trying to speak correctly here. 3 armor charges back, and you just go and, I don't know, get your melee back and go do it again. I don't know. I don't know.
Man.
We're talking about looping now.
Dude, I'm so excited to go play around with it again. This mod system is so interesting, and it's really fun in PvE. Like, I can give you an example real quick of what I could do in PvP with this mod system. This is what's really scary, is that, we talk about this buff that's nowhere near high energy fire. High energy fire would not stack on Radiant. It would not stack on an empowering rift. And so now, if I get even one of these that lasts for 20 seconds as a warlock, for instance, I throw down an empowering rift with 5.5% damage and the empowering rift, I'm one-shotting with Le Monarch. 10 Resil.
You have to, bro. They already got enough.
I know.
Why you have to say you didn't have to say Le Monarch specifically though?
Listen, it gets worse because that's a stationary target. With Radiant, which is a mobile buff, you go Radiant with Monarch, and the 5.5%, you're one-shotting up to 6.
There you go again. There you go. We don't need to give Le Monarch users something else. Can you please just tell, I need another weapon that isn't Le Monarch, bro.
Okay, here's a sniper. Okay, so high impact reserve snipers, not high impact, that doesn't exist. Aggressive. Aggressive high impact reserves on your last shot. If you are just Radiant, you don't even need the empowering buff, just Radiant and the 5.5%. Your body shotting up to 6 Resil.
Woo, that's
a mobile.
That's me.
No, okay, get this. What's crazy about this is there's no kill required. One of your friends pops a super, you're running this sniper, you go grab the orb, do your little acrobatic flip, body shot. 1-shot kill up to 6. That's crazy. And I tested this. Like, I know it worked because I tried it. It's great. Okay, but now here's one for you, Tony. This one won't have you rolling your eyes.
I'm just sitting here shaking my head, yo.
I know. All
right, I'm ready. What's we got?
So I actually manipulated the spreadsheet, Destiny Master Breakdown spreadsheet. Go use it if you haven't. It's amazing. Yep. But I just manipulated it to where Adrenaline Junkie times 1 times 2 times 3 is actually Surge times 1 times 2 times 3 for me. Okay. So I can just add it in, to anything. So we can take, Rampage, because you like your Firewalker build with your Igneous Hammer.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Firewalker, by the way, Path of Burning Steps, Titan Exotic. You get a 15%. We'll just keep it simple. At Firewalker times 1, you get a 15% damage boost that ends up stacking with quite a few damage buffs. So you do have to get a kill with a solar ability or solar weapon for the chance for it to proc. It has a chance for that damage buff to proc between 1 and 3 kills. Average is 2. So just want to give you that context. So yes, I love that, and I love pairing that with my Igneous Hammer 120 with Rampage, because when Rampage times 1 procs and you get lucky enough for Firewalker, the perk on Path of Burning Steps to proc, then you're actually going back to the 120 meta that we had around Stasis, and you're 2-tapping at Rampage times 1 because you also have Firewalker active at the same time.
So here's where that whole thing gets really interesting is Igneous Hammer, with Rampage, that kind of is gone now. You can't 2-tap with that. You go Radiant, you can 2-tap up to 5 Resil, and that's it. 6, you're out. You still need 3. And so you create this weird there's a breaking point in the time to kill based off of resilience. You add in one of these surges, say you picked up an orb and you've got the time dilation on, and you've got to where you picked up, someone running their super, 3 of them. So you got 60 seconds, a full minute, like we were talking about. Full minute of this buff. What am I going to do with this? You got your hand cannon, Igneous Hammer with Rampage. You got Radiant. Normally that would only be up to 5, but you got this other buff on top of it. You're 2-tapping up to 10 Resil. You don't need Firewalker.
No, Titans. Okay. You don't even need...
You just got Radiant. You just need Radiant, Rampage, and this new Surge times 3.
How much is Radiant again? Can I trade it out for Firewalker?
No, see, that's the thing. Radiant doesn't stack with Firewalker. They replace each other because they're both empowering. This will stack on Firewalker, though. So
Gotcha. That's what you're saying. Okay.
You could add it on too, but it's not going to replace. So another thing it can do is a lot of people like running Ace of Spades. If you're running Radiant with Ace of Spades, you can 2-tap, but only up to 9 Resil. You hit that wall, that resilience wall at 10 Resil, they'll survive the 2-tap. Not if you have this buff. It fixes the resilience levels. So while 5.5% doesn't seem like that much, when you're 2-tapping with Ace of Spades, even against 10 Resil Titans, it feels pretty awesome.
That's interesting. So this is what, when we first started this conversation, this is what you meant by, man, Tony, look, listen, this is starting to get like really interesting because with it being multiplicative, with you being able to stack it on other damage buffs where high energy fire couldn't do that. It's not as if it's breaking the system per se, breaking the sandbox per se, especially by itself, right?
Yep.
But it's actually changing some things, if you just so happen to have a combination, or if you, actually play for a combination. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
What's weird about it is it doesn't break. Like something like the new glaive, Judgment of Kelgrath, you would think with an extra damage buff and unstoppable force, it's so powerful already, I could surely get some one-shots out of it, but 5.5% isn't enough.
It's just not enough
to stack and do one-shots of any kind, maybe like 0 Resil or something, but I don't think so. Because I tried to like break everything that I could think of, but really the more practical applications of it were more interesting when it helped your time to kill value just a little bit using an SMG or an auto rifle. And so if you're one of those users out there, the takeaway for me is if you're having trouble with high resilience stuff, but you like slaying out or you like just running by your friends, grabbing an orb, this can be a tool that can help you secure that kill just one bullet faster in some situations, or let you get that body shot and get the rest of the headshots, give you a better adjusted time to kill value. So it's a really interesting system to me, and I think that once you start stacking it on Radiant and Wells or Firewalker, it'll stack on Firewalker, and weapons. So it's the only thing that's ever in the Crucible been able to stack 3 things: weapon, empowering, which is Radiant, Firewalker, all that stuff, and then this Surge. So Surge is the new, like, really interesting thing to me. But now that we talked, I'm really interested in the kickstart stuff and even the damage of this emergency reinforcement. I want to know how much that is. So there's a lot of options here.
I'm hearing depth. I'm hearing depth. I'm not gonna lie. I guess depth and diversity is something a little different. It's a bit nuanced of difference. I mean, I guess you could maybe make an argument for the mod system, still maybe lacking a little bit of diversity. Although my argument back to that always is this is like the new mod system 1.0. We're only gonna get more diversity. We're only more gonna get more depth. But I'm definitely seeing depth, man, and I'm definitely seeing where scientists with this, if it's a playstyle, if it's a weapon, if it's an empowering buff like Radiant that you're always using, that's a stay point of your playstyle, then you can kind of be a scientist with it, pick up some armor mods, then figure out what weapon you want to use, to fit in. You could build a whole kind of like playstyle around ensuring that you have better consistency with your engagements, because that's what it sounds like to me when you talk about forgiveness. When you talk about, it's not outright broken damage wise, but when you talk about just ensuring, I'm good with Titans, just ensuring, that
exactly.
That, okay, I missed a couple shots, on the head. Okay, I hit a body, but that increased damage buff from Surge mods ends up giving me a little bit of that forgiveness, so that I can continue to push through to that next engagement. So really interesting stuff, and I can just see us in the future being like, this is just an added dimension to what we talk about on the regular. Okay, well, look at this, like Radiant plus this right here. Okay, now we're moving up to 9 resilience. Now we're moving up to 8 resilience or whatnot. Okay, well, now we have an extra dimension. Okay, what if we stack Surge mods on top of that? Does it get even more interesting? So, okay, I'm liking this. I
got one last thing, and it's really applicable to me and will be applicable on a Lightfall weapon as well. We were talking about round robin, and it had harmony on it, I noticed, which is my favorite, or at least one of my favorite perks on a 120 hand cannon because of the 2-tap potential. The problem with Harmony is that it only 2-taps up to 7 Resil. 8, 9, 10, it cannot 2-tap. Without anything else,
got you.
You don't need Radiant or anything. Just add in Surge times 3, and you're 2-tapping everything just right there. So, yeah, I just feel like that you don't even need that. You just Surge times 1 will help you start 2-tapping 8, and then Surge time 2, you're all the way up to 10. So really only 2 Surge mods. And so you could figure out these levels of what I need to invest in. That way, this build that I'm running, this Harmony hand cannon build that I really like, and I know other people like that build. I've heard them talk about it.
100%. Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that could help you out. If you have this buff lasting for 20, 30 seconds, you can kind of rely on that. Most people don't live that long in the Crucible, so there you go.
No, it's true. It's true. And I mean, you say it speaks to me. We go back to the Firewalker build. Like when I'm specifically running that what do I call it, the Fire Hammer build, because it's Igneous Hammer paired with the Path of Burning Steps Titan Exotic. Like I'm specifically running that because I'm just like, I'm just trying to run around and get a 2-tap. I'm just trying to run around and get a 2-tap. So if I know other folks have that gameplay loop that they're trying to step into the Crucible with that day, or just in general, that's their thing, that's their play style. And so to just make that, more accessible, to make that, to them that want to invest in it and want to kind of be a scientist about that particular niche, I think that's pretty cool to just, like I said, not breaking anything per se, not anything obvious at least, but additional forgiveness for build crafting a little bit. It doesn't sound horrible to me. It doesn't sound horrible to me. So cool. I'm liking it.
Awesome. Well, I know there are new perks and stuff to go over too, but I think we've hit this episode pretty long. I don't want to keep people too long, and I want to save some stuff for next time because we've got tons of new perks. They're going to feed into all this stuff, but we're going to go over the weapons next time, next episode. So I'm really pumped to dive into all those, but I think we're going to go ahead and bring it Can
I give him a taste, though? Can we give him I just want to give him a quick taste.
A little taste.
I'm going to give him a little nugget. All right? Couple things that we have written down, for that next section, and I'm not even going to explain too much about it, is new perk, Keep Away. Really interested on that. Really interested on that. I mean, obviously, it's applicable to a bunch of different archetypes, but I was really interested to see it on the new round robin, like hand cannon, 120 RPM with a Strand hand cannon that we've been talking about. It activates when no enemies are within 15 meters, and especially if we're talking about in a competitive setting where it's only 3 people on the enemy team. But then we're talking about, because some people are just like, man, is it really going to be effective? And I'm just like, it's on a 120 hand cannon. Think about that, a 120 hand cannon. You're generally going to be like out beyond 15 meters. It's almost always going to proc, especially, in threes or something like that. Say we're playing on like Fortress or something like that. So it is actually going to give you some substantial benefit. We're talking about plus 10 range, plus 30 reload, and minus 10% accuracy cone size. But even if we just focus on the plus 10 range, and I'm not going to lie, even the plus 30 reload is kind of nice, simply because 120 RPM hand cannons have such low both like reload, stability, and handling, like all those. So you're always looking for ways to fill that out. You're always looking for ways to fill that out. So, we'll talk about a little bit more about that later, and maybe some of how that might be impactful, especially on other archetypes. But definitely something that I'm looking at with regards to crafting that one. And then I'm not even going to mention any of the details with this, but keep your eyes on Zen Moment. Keep your eyes on Zen Moment. Sold. I put that in red. I highlighted that in red for myself. Man. So, plenty of stuff for you folks. And I'll toss it back over to Lego. Let's go ahead and close it out, baby.
Yeah, let's close it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Destiny Massive Breakdowns on Twitter, social media. And come in the Discord, talk with us. We'd love to hear your questions and throw some stuff at the wall for all the scientists in there, because they know much more than me. They're the people that I ask questions to. So come ask.
We're always
questions
learning.
For yourself. Always learning. Yeah, we're just bringing y'all the info. But yeah, that's it for this episode.
Yeah, and just remember, everybody, to continue to stay on top of Tony so that he is on time for Lego. If you see me in my stream, just be like, Tony, do you really think? Just gently, just be like, Tony, he's got like a young, he's got just continue to hold me accountable to starting this session on time so we can get this guy to bed. But I don't even feel sorry for him. This dude is going to go play Destiny. I don't feel sorry this time. You literally just said 3 times in a row.
I
know
that,
it's going to happen.
But I know the truth. I know I need to go to bed.
I feel it.
I'm pretty hyped right now, though.
Yeah, love it. So I appreciate you, Lego. Thank you for continuing to give me a little bit of grace, and I'm going to continue to work on that, of course. I'm just saying, man. I say it out loud. I'll say it in private. I don't care. Remember, you can connect to all things Destiny Massive Breakdowns at DestinyMassiveBreakdowns.com, including Podcast versus Enemies. I'm telling you, these folks leveled up. Y'all got to be making sure that you're listening. You listen to this, you got to listen to that. I'm telling you, you be learning some stuff. And of course, some of that stuff ends up being applicable to PvP as well if you're a PvP main. So just really great content from those folks. Follow them everywhere. So by those folks, I mean, it's hosted by Court, Impetus, and Saint Caber. And also remember, Beneath Twin Suns is also part of the Destiny Massive Breakdowns family. It is a Star Wars podcast hosted by Kit Kutcha and Mercules, of course, our previous hosts on the show. We're just trying to fill those shoes. You'll find our social links and invite to join the conversation in the Discord, episodes new and old, and the occasional guide post and more well-written resources right there on the site. So, hey, this was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. We'll definitely be talking about quite a few more things next time.
Yeah.
Plenty of stuff to talk about, and I'm excited about the raid that's coming up. The name is Ill Physics, aka Tony. If you did not previously know me, you can find me at Ill Physics on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube as well. I always need to be doing more with that, I swear. But Lego he won't give me his time for I'm telling you, I got dibs though. I got dibs. He ever doing that editor thing, I got dibs. But you can find me at Ill Physics. Also in the Discord as well. We got a great community there of 2,500 people and more. And we're always playing labs and scrims to try to help everybody get better, but specifically the less experienced folks. Always a positive experience there. So thank you for being here.
That's where I need to be. That's where I need to go over in labs and learn a thing or two. Tony can teach me about some primary weapons.
First of all, look, you do you. I love you because you do you, and that's everybody out there. I don't care if you a niche, especially if you're a niche specialist. But what I will say is, before we even do that, we got to go get that clip with the 2-tap or the 1-tap with the hand cannon.
I'm dreaming,
y'all
man. I'm gonna
go
check those tracer rounds, make sure that they're stacking. But I'm 90% sure. I'm pumped. Okay, this has been Lego with Flash. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Just YouTube. Go find me on YouTube. There.
Subscribe.
I'll see you there. Yeah.
Yo, big love and great episode. Peace.
Yeah. See ya.